Hello. How are you guys doing? Oh, I gotta move my mat. Okay, I've been totally scrambling because the more I think about doing this zippered pocket, the more variations I have come up with. So I'm gonna focus on sewing with you two of them, but I'll show you each of them. And I'll explain why. Because there's nicer versions of it than others. But I'm going to show you like the one like, okay, if you just want to put one on with what you have without a whole lot of pattern alteration, there's one for that. And then I'll show you the one I like the best. So, hey late night, hey Helen, hey Leslie, how's it going? Nice. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. I'm in California. My camera's at a weird angle, isn't it? You know, I threw it over here the other day when we were streaming so I could show you the Maya Sew Distress on the dress form. So even the overhead camera's a little weird too. I don't know if I can change it a little bit. Let's see. Oh. That's not better, is it? Oh well. Backgrounds in live streams are always kind of a crack up. I used to always look at what was in the background of live streams. And usually it's someone's messy bedroom, and I was like, oh my god, how could they do that? Now it's kind of like, I think it's a thing. Like that's just like a, I don't know what you call it. One of the things you do. You have a messy background or bedroom or whatever, an unmade bed. Mine is like the opening of my shop, but I don't like it when the lights are showing, like the roof, because I think it's really distracting. So it doesn't help that my hair is like white. So hey Louise. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. So Louise, I'm focusing mostly on the modded zipper pocket. So, but I imagine like I'm gonna eventually finish all the zip doubles that I start here, and so that'll be a stream probably. I'll just do it with you because eventually I'm gonna start selling all my samples because I have so many and I just don't need them. So, and I think that'll make a few former chicken boots peeps happy that don't sew, so they have an opportunity. So I really hate that my table like this and this is showing. It's really hard to get it. The camera is straight, just for all of you that are just triggered by that. Here, I'll zoom it in a little. I really feel for some of you who are like, because I'm that way, that are like, why is the camera crooked? Especially if you're new here to a live stream. So let me, I can zoom it in a tiny bit. And then you won't see it. It's not as bad. You know? Because I love you guys. Yeah, it's really hard because see, you can see there's a bend in the camera. That's why it does that. It's mysterious to me, so I can't explain it. There's a lot of things about this I cannot explain, and I wish I could. So, all right. I know, Louise, I feel like you like those like production-oriented streams and like the delving into something. I love that too. If I felt like a lot of people like that, I'd probably do that more often because I feel like it's my wheelhouse, you know? Louise, thanks. Okay, so a quick background. I'm Sarami, by the way, and I had chicken boots for 10 years, and I had to close my business sooner than I should have. It was doing amazing. And I vowed to all my customers that I would make those patterns into home sew patterns for those that sew, right? So this is the second one I've come out with. They obviously take longer than you ever want them to, and it's because I'm working with the graphic artist to make them look nice. Patterns and all that stuff have been done for years. So, and recently I sold some kits for the project bag because I had them still cut from the chicken boots days. And when I did the zip double this time, I actually came out with 2 alternate views so that you don't have to do any plastic in it, which I fully support. And I have to admit, honestly, like the plastic was really making me uncomfortable for the last few years of chicken boots, and it was hard. It was one of our signature things. So I researched really hard for environmentally friendly plastic. There's really no such thing. So even if you see stuff that's just trading one evil for another, and accessibility is always, a problem. Sorry, I'm so hot. I feel like my glasses are fogging up. Oh, cool, late night. It was a nightmare. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice, Louise. It is. Like, I feel like I love you guys know how much I love doing the live stream, because it's a place to share stuff and hear what you guys are up to, and like know what people are interested in. My glasses are fogging up. It's like 107 here. Yeah, I just don't, I want to figure out a way to do them more. So I don't think the air conditioning is in here too. So anyway, this is the second pattern I've come up with, as far as geared towards homestarters. And I feel like there's some explaining that needs to be done. Like, this pattern is kind of a weird looking bag. I totally agree with you. And my designs always came about in answer to something. And I designed all of our stuff. I didn't use anyone else's patterns ever, except for the boxy bag, which is like this ubiquitous knitting bag, the boxy bag. And I just did my take on that, and I did it in clear vinyl. So that was my contribution to that, but I didn't do them the whole time, and people were kind of upset about that. Hey, Eliza! Ooh, congratulations. Oh, yeah. You can't find the matte vinyl. I'm sorry, late night. My friend says she's seen some on Etsy and at a local place in Oregon. Yeah, that matte vinyl is just so, I know people think the shiny is better, but I just, like, this is matte. You can still see through it, and it doesn't stick. So this bag, people, you know, my products are geared mostly to knitters and crocheters and other fiber folks. Vinyl was really nice because they could see inside their bag, and that's kind of how I came out about that. And I was using it before this bag came out. The name Zip Double comes from the fact that we used to have a product named the Double Double. And the Double Double was slightly smaller than this. The fabric was probably twice as tall, maybe a little bit more, and it had a draw cord closure, but the draw cord was actually a webbing handle, which I'd never seen anyone do before. So they could open the bag like this, and it had a little bit of stiffener. The webbing made it kind of open a little bit. And then they could just yank it shut and carry it by that handle because it was webbing. Same style pocket, it's slightly smaller. And that one was named because it was the size of 4 clear wristlets, another product I had. So the double double, meaning like double and double, the clear wristlet, and this was a zippered version of that. That's all. I was rubbish at naming things, you guys. Really, really rubbish. Rayanne improved my naming a little bit when I would listen to her. But there was a point where she was like, you are not allowed to name anything else with the name project or starts with the letter P. Because we used initials in-house, like ZD for Zip Double. So that's how the Zip Double came about. And this bag, you can see inside the pocket from the outside, but it's still zipped open, so everything was secure. And it had a little like grab handle. This handle, I think, is a trial. It's kind of big. I obviously like binding. And so then for when I released the pattern, I made 2 fabric versions. Technically, you can make this in all fabric and sew it exactly the same way. You don't even have to do these 2 versions. That's a 4th version. You would just see your stitch lines right here, and that's it. And then you would be able to see inside your pocket, but you could when you opened your bag. So you can just do an all fabric version by not even doing these 2. So this one is, I think, view C, and it was fully lined. So you can see there's a lining in there that's different from the outer. The pocket is still on the outside, and in this one I did a clear, but you could do fabric. And on this one, it's all fabric as well, but it's not lined. So you can see it's just the wax canvas in there. You'd have to finish the edge if it wasn't waxed or finished. And then the pocket's still on the outside. So today I'm going to make a zippered pocket version, and like on this one you would still see inside there, and I'm going to do it so that it's zippered like with the pocket on the inside. So the big difference is pocket on the inside, pocket on the outside, and fully lined, not lined, clear vinyl. So hey Noemi, how's it going? I'm in the middle. Yeah. Oh, you're Santa Ynez. I know where Santa Ynez is. I'm in the Chico area. It's bloody hot here. Yeah, so, oh yeah. Oh yeah, in Germany, I don't know any resources there. B&M Asian. Oh. Oh, there you go. That's a great idea. Helen, that's so smart. I'm gonna use I hope I remembered who it was that gave me the idea to credit you. Great idea. You could try that. Yeah, I mean, in here you could get that at Target, you know? So, smart. Using a frosted vinyl shower curtain. I know the chat doesn't load for some folks on replay, so I want to make sure I say that. Okay, so let's go over the zipper versions I'm going to do today. And then because it's not in the sewing video, so when you purchase one of my patterns, it comes with a full video tutorial. And if anyone has watched it, you know, you can say what you think of it, because I feel like it's pretty in-depth and it goes over everything, and I'm right there by your side and really cheering you on. And it also has fully illustrated instructions in the printout version. Hey, Shannon! But they're not as in-depth as the video. It's true. My patterns are geared towards the video, but they're still, I feel like the pattern instructions are still really good, and there's a photograph for every step. It's just that in the video, there's some subtleties and nuances that I can really delve into and say, you know, when I used to do it this way, I did it that way. So, yeah, Shannon, I've already got it cut out. I'm excited to make your bag. I'm going to make this version here that I'm going to show them right now. So, one of the zip pocket versions you can do is this one of the ones? Wait, yeah, is keeping that binding opening. So this pocket is on the inside, so you can still see what's in there, and it zips shut. So this is one version. So basically all I did was put the pocket opening on the bag and cut the pocket straight across. See? So, and then you just lay the zipper behind it and top stitch it down. And it's a little tricky dealing with the zipper, I'm not gonna lie. So there's that version. This I feel like is the cleanest, and this is for an all fabric one. Okay, so I'm getting low on zippers. So I mostly use zipper by the yard, and I know you guys don't have that, and I apologize. I do that a lot without thinking. It's even in the video like that, and I know people are like, but I don't have that zipper. I'm sorry about that. It's just hard to get supplies lately, and I have hundreds of yards of this, so I use it a lot. But you can use any zipper for what I'm going to show you today. And this one is clean finished, and then you would put your pocket behind it and then carry on with your bag. But this is really nice because it's pretty much nice and clean and easy. No binding. This one looks a lot like the binding thing, but it's a facing, a very badly sewn facing. I will admit I was really over it last night. It was so hot and I wanted to go home. But same idea. So the pocket is behind. Still see the binding, but it's a facing. This one is probably the easiest one to show or sew, but the pocket is on the outside of the bag. You cannot see what's inside it unless you make the pocket out of vinyl, and it's straight across. This would be the easiest one to sew, hands down, with the binding, I mean, of the binding ones. And then here's another binding one as well. I'm focusing on the binding one since that's how the pattern is already written, but it's the all fabric. This zipper is clear. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting really desperate for zippers. I have these novelty zippers I've never used. I think I made Stephen West a clear boxy bag once using one of these because it was rainbow, neon rainbow, or neon. It was neon, clear. I doubt he ever used it, by the way. So don't ask him. This one's fully lined. So this is a nice clean way to do it as well. And this zipper and mine is kind of wide for our method today. I think if you're using like 1 inch wide zipper, you're going to find this a little bit easier to do. So, oh, nice, Helen. Yeah, it'd probably be a while, Shannon, too, that I'm sewing your bag, just so you can tune me out for a little bit if you want. I don't mind. All right, so I'm gonna put this stack of samples. Let's see. Right here. Got a lot going on in here. These are all my little cut piece samples starts. So I'm like 3/4 of the way. These are the actual zip doubles. And this is not related at all to the zipper modified pocket. I'm just gonna cut out a zip double really quick for those of you that felt like they really want to see that, because I think it might help, especially cutting these kinds of interior corners, because I know they're kind of a pain. So I'll just show you how I do it. And if you're using scissors, it's obviously a little easier. But I use a rotary knife. My favorite way, Lori? What do you mean by that? I always use double fold because I like it finished on the inside and on the outside. And I always start from the back and go to the front. If you ever watch me bind, it's the only way I do it. I never go from the right side to the wrong side. I always go wrong side to the right side. I don't know if that's how you mean by that. Oh, cool, Shannon. I wish I would have eaten a snack. I could feel like this is going to be a long stream. Better than Netflix. I love live streams. I totally agree with you. Except sometimes I'm like running to comment and then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not getting what I need to get done. All right, so I'm going to show you how I cut out a zip double, just a general zip double. This is view A, and my vinyl has tissue paper behind it, and I'm leaving it here just so you can see it in the video. So I know you probably won't ever see vinyl like this, but it's just here just for visibility, because I know it's almost impossible to see on the camera. So I don't usually use a small blade. I usually use a bigger one. Let's put everything in the camera. And I mostly do rotary knives. So what I like to do is, I don't really have like a specific method as far as order of operations and how I cut it, but I'm going to cut off all the perimeter. I like to get my fabric piece down. You got to remember, if I'm cutting these in production, I'm usually doing a stack of 8. I don't do more than 8 layers of vinyl. My hands can't handle it. And fabric wise, I think I can get up to, I don't remember, 12 maybe. So, oh, Lori, nice. Yeah, well, I have a binding machine, but I try not to use it. But it's tough. Yeah. He said, Resnack, you and my husband sound very similar. He brought me food in front of my video game last night because he knows all I wanted to do is play my new video game because everyone's playing it but me. I came home, I was like, I was supposed to be here 5 hours early. I'm just going to play my game. He brought me dinner. All right, and then sometimes, like in this case, I'm just going to cut straight across these. Now, if you're utilizing this for something else, like if you have one of these and one traced here as well with these pieces together, like foot to foot, like let's consider these feet. You could utilize this nice rectangle for something. So I just like to get all this out of the way. And so now I'm left with the fussy bits, right? And so I will go up into these. I have to admit, I don't ever cut around a pattern. If Rayanne's in the chat, she's going to tell you I'm lying. But I just mean usually, like, I don't do it because of that, because I'll accidentally cut it. It's usually traced off. And then what I do is I would probably have positioned this on the table a little differently if I were at my regular table. So I lift this up like this. I move it out of the way, and then I just cut straight across. Oof, that was a little hard to see. So same thing. You can pull this out of the way like that. Press your blade up against that, and then go across. And same thing. That's how you do those inverted corners the easiest, in my opinion. Because getting cuts, like if you go up and then you do that and you get cuts in here, you have so little seam allowance to work with. I don't want to set you up to fail. I don't usually use a knife for notches, but if I do, I hold it like this and I kind of press down so I can see how deep it is. See that? I can see how deep it is. And I can see that I actually got it on all layers. 8 layers, I wouldn't do that though. Most likely. Yeah, exactly, Helen. Our notions case fit there. right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Our notions case fit there, or our stitch marker pocket, and that's what we would use. All right, so now I have my vinyl, and I would do the exact same thing for the fabric as well if you're going to do an all fabric version. All right, and so for the tops, I picked a fabric with a motif because aren't they fun and such a pain to use? But we cannot resist them, can we? So I could speak for hours about this. So I'm going to give you my shortest version. I haven't even practiced any of what I'm saying. I'm just like, oh yeah, I could mention this, this, and this. At Chicken Boots, when we cut 100 layers at once, and we use a machine. So what I'm doing now is sample style cutting. Like anything, when you're doing 8 layers, that's sample sizing. I know there's a lot of folks that cut and sew bags and do that as their job, but that is pretty small quantities, but they are valid quantities. I did that all the time on limited edition stuff and small production runs for like a fabric store, or when I was pricing something, I would cut 10. And it would give me kind of an idea, how hard is this going to be to cut in production. Like that's kind of a pain. So all those interior corners. But with a motif, our fabric would have been opened out like this. It would not have been folded ever. And I always ordered our fabric on a roll anytime I could, so I could get rid of this stupid fold, right? But let's say we're going to cut it because we're just cutting one. And we have this motif, right? So what I like to do is I like to look at the other side, and I like to stack them. So let's stack these sweaters. So I'm kind of looking at, so at least they're in the same spot if I'm going to try and cut 2 at a time. So that when I, center this over the motif, I'm not getting half sweaters here and whole sweaters on one side, right? And if that happens, if you just like forget, I forget all the time lately. I'm kind of forgetful now that I'm not like in the groove of production. What I do then is I'm like, oh, that's an interior one because it doesn't look that great, and now I need to pay attention so I at least get one good one on my second set. So you need 4 of these for one zip double, and if you're using all the same fabric, at least you have like an out, right? If you get one of these wrong, you can do your next ones right. And so what I would most likely do is I would center this, but remember your seam allowance, right? Your seam allowance is 1/4 inch, so you want to center it up and down. But say you have something larger, I like to bias it towards the bottom so that when this is kind of crumpled in on itself like that, you're seeing more of your motif. So if you really want to get fussy about it. So I'm going to just cut this like this. And then I'm going to cut my next batch. Now my next batch, they don't really, because they're the interior, they don't really need to be perfect, but if you want to go for that, go for that. Just because they're on the inside of the bag. And another way to save money if you're someone in business doing this, you do not have to line the bag with this great outer fabric. You could use something more affordable, just some solid broadcloth or something. So yeah, right? Exactly. Controversial. If it's printed off grain, do you worry less? Yeah, I'd worry far less on bags, because especially if you're selling them, someone's going to get far madder at you that their elephant is crooked than the grain line, because they probably don't even know about grain line. Yeah. And I do things like this. I get rid of, the ends, stuff like that. And then I hold my fabric so it stays nice and taut. Just like that. I felt that didn't go through. Now I always cut with fabric towards the blade like this. So when you see me doing it with it at the back, that's not typical. I wouldn't normally do that. But with a rotary knife, it is kind of hard to rotate your work. It's hard to get it stacked up perfectly. And it happens. You just get better and better at it. But like I say, in production, we were using a really huge machine to do that. Now these notches, You actually only need these notches really on the outer, but you can notch them all. It's not going to hurt anything. And the same thing with the 4 layers. I lift it up, and I'm pressing my blade down as I'm pulling up so I can make sure I get that bottom layer. And I kind of pull it up because then it doesn't get any deeper. I have said that's as far in as the blade's going, but if I pull up that bottom layer, I get a little bit. Anything helps. See, like that one didn't really get caught. Anything helps as far as an indication when you're sitting at your sewing machine. You get really good at being a detective on what, you know, is a knot and what isn't. All right, so now we just have the center. This always happens to me when I do this on a fabric like this that was on the fold. Pocket always ends up being on the fold. So you could position this better where maybe your inners are on the fold or whatever. There was a time when I would iron that center fold of all my bolts because they wouldn't give it to me ROT, which is rolled on a tube. And then they started realizing, okay, she's really here to stay. And we do have this capability. Oh crap. So make sure you check that you didn't go so far out that you cut into your piece. So this piece isn't usable, but we'll just finish it. Yeah, see, look at that. See, that's I hate when I'm really flamboyant with my cutter. Like when I did that piece on here, I went too far. Don't go past the edge. You don't need to, and maybe you'll need that other fabric for something. So you just learned exactly that lesson with me. For this curve right here, I like to start in the center. I like to start in this flat spot and then I hold it. And then sometimes you have to pick this up and get it to curve in there. Now this one I will rotate. It's worth it. And then I'll kind of pick this up like this. The smaller knife for curves like this is ideal. This is a 28 millimeter, this is a 45. These little curves is great for this is why I have this. I used to only use that until I realized my hands hated me and I was in hand therapy. So yeah, that fold. Yeah, I would sit there in my house because my shop was in the backyard, ironing bolts and rolling it on tubes. It doesn't take as long as you think, but eventually I just stopped doing it, especially when I saw another factory go through production with bolts and they didn't iron it out and they just sewed it in. In fact, the factory I hired later on did the exact same thing, and I was like, okay, if I don't want that fold, I got to give them fabric without it. And it was really only like, this was a limited edition, a winter group that we did. I could not make the minimum to do ROT. And so the other reason I couldn't was the only time I was allowed to get my fabric rolled on a tube was when I placed the order in preseason. So basically the fabric hadn't been made yet. And then when it got made, they would say, oh, all of these tubes are going to customers, and then the rest, then they would take it because it comes on a tube, then they would bolt it. So that's the difference. So if you're one of those folks trying to get your fabric rolled on a tube and they keep telling you no, ask them, when can I order that you'll do that for me, and what's your minimum? It's just probably a matter of timing. And we were also doing about 90 yards per fabric at that time, but even when I was at 60, they would do it. And 60 is only 4 bolts. So that's a pretty doable thing. I think they'll even do it for 30, but don't quote me on that. Depends on the company. Hi, Karen. All right, so let's get on with our zipper tutorial. I'm gonna need all those pattern pieces I just put behind me. All right. So, let's go over. I have like a bunch of things just sitting here cut to use. Let's go over. So for your pocket, you don't need your tops right now. Just put that away. All right. We have, okay, so for your zipper, ideally you're using zipper where the tape is 1 inch wide, like this one here. So it's 1 inch across. You're gonna see me today use a lot that's a 1 1/4. And that is a little fussier, but it's not uncommon, and you can work around it no problem. So don't worry about it if that's all you have. I also will be using a lot of zipper today that doesn't have a stop at the top or the bottom like this one does. See, this has a stop. And that's totally fine. You know, you can use this tape to your advantage. So just because I say you need a 7 3/4 inch zipper doesn't mean it has to be the opening here. If you need to make your opening smaller because of whatever zipper you have on hand, that's fine. Just try not to use a zipper, I'd say smaller than 6 inches when it's open, when the pocket is open. Generally a pocket is about 5.5 inches wide, and zippers, you need a little more room because the head is in the way when it's open. You lose about 1/2 inch right there when it's open. But you can try it yourself, you know, just say, okay, this is the only zipper I have. How do I feel about getting in and out of my pocket here, and what I plan to put in and out of my pocket. If you're a knitter and you're always going to put the same 6 things in that pocket, get those things out and try it out. If you're only making yours, why not, right? It's your bag, do it custom. So I've definitely done that. I've altered some of our things to accommodate some of the things I really like putting in my pocket. So definitely think about that. Okay, so yeah, the width can be 1 to 1 1/4. And then the length, yeah, you're somewhere in, like for this, if you wanted to use this standard right here, you're going to go measure your pocket opening about 1/4 inch past the opening here. So that right there is about, it's like 7 5/8, so about 7 3/4. But the opening is more like 6 3/4, 6.5. So that helps. Okay, now you can cut out all your pieces. Just cut this one straight across and this one straight across. It already is. And then you can decide which one you want to do. So let's see here. What are all of our widths? Okay, so we have the behind the binding one. So if you want to do it, pretty much using the pattern almost as is, and without doing a whole lot extra, and you can do this on the fly as you're cutting it out, and it'll end up looking like this with the binding on the outside and the zipper just laid behind that. So the zipper is raw right here, but you can't feel it. I actually bound the edge of my zipper in an experiment. I don't know if you can see that. So I bound the edge of the zipper and then folded it back. But then on this one, yeah, this one, I left the zipper raw. It's raw right there, and I actually like it better. It's really hard to see it. Hey, we're already kind of cheating because the zipper tape's showing back here, right? I liked that better, and I'm not one to like raw anything except the vinyl edges. I'm fine with that. I kind of got used to that, but the raw zipper tape back there, it's really not a big deal, and it's not going to get touched or handled, so you're not going to risk further unraveling or anything like that. You could even melt it, and I would do an experiment and see how much it melts before you decide to do that, because if it melts a lot, you need to build that amount in for your overall length. Okay. All right, so for this version here with the binding, all you're gonna do is you're gonna cut out your body pieces, whether it's if it's the vinyl or the unlined all fabric. If this is the one where you want the pocket to go behind it, you are just going to trace this pocket opening onto the bag body and cut it out on the bag body, but not on the pocket. Go straight across. So your pattern pieces would look more like this. So it's straight across at the top, and then let's see, what's this one gonna be? Is this one, what's this one for? I want to make sure I'm using my little samples correctly. Oh, here, I'll just show you. That's right, I have some samples here. So you'd have your pocket straight across, and then take your regular pocket. This is a, can you see that? It's the center part of the vinyl. I didn't cut out the end. There you go, Helen. Yeah, things like that will just seal your edges of your zipper. If you don't, you know, and the thing is, like, thinking that you can just have it stick straight out, it'll actually stick out and you'll see it, and that's why I trimmed it to be the shape. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can put some fabric behind it so you can see my vinyl. That really doesn't help, does it? I don't have any tissue either. You're just going to line up your pocket on the center with those notches down there. And then you'll cut out the curve along the top of your vinyl or your fabric, right? So now you'll have your pieces set for this binding version, all right? And we're gonna sew this together. Okay, so now, and just ask questions if you miss it, if I'm going too quickly, because I want to try and sew as much as possible today with you guys. All right, so what's our next one? I had to write a list. I started getting overwhelmed. The outer facing. Okay. You're going to do the exact same thing there. Yeah. Yeah, the soot sprites. Yeah. You're going to do the exact same thing there. So you will have your opening here. This vinyl's all curly. I had to go through my like scrap vinyl bin for this today. So this is your body of your bag. You're going to cut this opening here. You're going to cut your pocket straight across. Right? Straight across. Oh, no, that's not straight across. We'll do some Shibas on this one. Am I going to do some Shibas on this one? Oof. I don't want to use my good fabric for these samples. So I might cut a few pockets out of some of these. Yeah, let's just cut a few out real quick. I do plan on finishing some more zip doubles, but so this is how you would cut out. You can use your ruler. I have to admit, I didn't use the ruler in a couple and it showed. So use your ruler. I've been using this little blade a lot again lately, and I don't know how I feel about that. All right, so now we have this one here. This is our binding one. We'll save our soot sprites. That fabric's pretty precious. Anyone who's been around chicken boots long enough knows that one was one of those fabrics that our customers got a little triggered over if they couldn't get it. But it's on Spoonflower. You can get it on Spoonflower. I'm sure it's there right now. All right, and so this one's going to be the facing, and let me show you how to do your last pattern piece for that. So now I'm going to try and use a piece of binding like a facing. I actually think it's not the best idea, so I'm going to show you also how to just draft a facing, because that will be a little bit easier to do, to sew. All right, so we have, and I don't normally draft patterns in Sharpie, but I do on camera so you can see it. Wait, oh, thanks for the donation, Cassandra. I haven't seen that little guy in a while. Thank you, that's very nice of you. Appreciate it. The little Pusheen donut. I almost used my rotary knife. All right, so let's, I'm gonna badly trace this pattern piece here. Just gonna trace the top part of it, just like that. You don't even need the sides, but. All right, now you're going to draw a parallel line around here. Now, let's just talk about ease. Ease as in easiness. So you can sew this where it would be probably a little bit easier. You actually don't need this because this is going to be on the bag. Where if you wanted, you could sew this so that it's like straight across, right? But the thing is, if you have the binding pocket, it kind of gives you some issues, right? That was really nice of you, Cassandra. So think about it and maybe experiment before you cut your good fabric out, because you could do this maybe on an all fabric version, like maybe like this one, where your facing could get stitched across back there, and then the pocket sew it down on the sides, and no one would know because it's on the inside of the bag and in between the lining. So I know I'm probably throwing a lot of information at you guys and options. I'm hoping something speaks to you and the method of sewing you like to do and the way you like to finish things. All right, so we're just going to make, so we have our 1/4 inch seam allowance here. And I think our facing just finishing about a 1/2 inch is fine, and then I'm going to ask for another 1/4 inch. So we're going to make a 1 inch parallel line around this opening, just like this. Just like this. Now you have to remember that if you're sewing this down on vinyl, you can't iron it. You can pre-iron it before you get it to your vinyl, but just remember that. Okay, so we have our facing. The reason I was going to try and do a piece of bias, because I was like, I wonder if a piece of bias could work. I like to experiment, but I think I'm not going to waste your time just in case that doesn't go well, and I'm just going to do the facing. I think the reason I don't think the binding would work is I think it's just too much to ask of it around this part here. But this is kind of like binding the edge, but you're not, because you're going to pull the fabric to the right side of the bag. So in other words, how do I describe that? This is a seam right here, and all of it's been pulled to the front of the bag. And then I edge stitched it, and then when I stitched the zipper down, I stitched all my edge stitching, so you can choose to skip that first edge stitch so you only have one line of stitching. And you can see this was my first one, so it's a little bumpy there. But maybe if I had thought this out, I would have pre-ironed this edge before I turned it under and stitched it down. Or maybe put a row of stay stitching and drew up the threads to kind of make it tight and make it kind of curve under naturally, and then it makes it a little easier to turn under that edge. So we can talk about that at the sewing machine. And then this is what I like about this is actually it's very clean. It's not my favorite look, but I think it could be cute. And you know, it's blending in a little bit because of the fabric behind it, right? I didn't use the contrast binding fabric, which I don't have actually, but I just kind of wanted it to blend in, and you can still see inside my pocket. So, okay, so we have this, and we're going to cut it in this. So, oh, these are my pattern scissors. They're just paper scissors, nice paper scissors. The blades are short, so I have a lot of maneuverability. People are always like, whoa, those things look like weapons. I'm like, yeah, but the blades are really small. But yeah, they're just my paper scissors. They make cutting accurately a lot easier. Those are the ones I got in fashion school in 1989, and I'm still using them. They still work amazing. I used to always have them hand sharpened by this guy, Dan the Scissor Man. I miss that guy. But I moved away and I haven't found anyone here yet. I bought a new pair once, and it's the same company and everything, and they're fine. They're just not mine. You know what I mean? I'm just used to mine. They're almost identical. Okay, so now we have our facing. It's a pretty small piece, but you know, It won't feel like it when you're in this tight little spot. All right, so that's that one. All right, what do we have next? Straight one. This one's going to be the easiest if you want the pocket on the outside. So we have another one. I'm doing all these on vinyl mainly because I feel like a lot of people are going to be doing this on vinyl, but you can do fabric. You can do any of these on fabric. So let's see. Let's cut out one more pocket. Do I have enough fabric here? Maybe sideways I do. No, I do. So now this one, what am I looking for? Oh, wait. We are going to cut this off and cut this off right there. Get your pocket. All right, so now you need to know what width of zipper you're doing. If you're using a 1 inch wide zipper here, where are my zippers at? If you're doing a 1 inch wide zipper like this one here, you're gonna want this right here to be probably about a 1/2 inch. Let's see, more like 3/4. You don't want to go below 3/4. That's what it is. You want this to be 3/4. So we're gonna take off 3/4 off the top. If you're doing an 1 1/4, you're going to take off an 1 1/4 wide zipper across the tape. You want to take off 1 inch off the top of this pocket, all right? Because we're going to bind that edge, so we don't need seam allowance. If you do want seam allowance, you don't want to bind that edge, totally fine. Just make sure you add that in. And let me give you that math too. So basically this is how this is going to look, just like this on the pocket. Like this. Right? So you need your zipper to line up right there. So line up your zipper to find out your seam allowance, right? Line up your pocket down here. And then if you want a seam allowance here so you don't want to bind this, make sure that your pocket goes a 1/2 inch past your zipper that way. So on a 1 inch wide zipper, you would just cut off 1/2 inch off the top of your pocket. And then you can just sew it together, right sides together, pull it down, bind the edges, top stitch it down. And number 3. Is that the coil? I think they vary. I do not know that. My 4.5 coil is 1 1/4 wide. This is probably a 2.5 coil, and it's 1 inch. Pretty sure this is 2.5 coil. Coil is the style of the zipper, I should say. So there's brass. We all know those because of our jeans and things like that, right? And then coil is this like little small plastic tooth. Like if you pulled this off of the tape, it's in a coil. Kind of like a spiral bound notebook, you know, but not. And then there's the big plastic tooth ones. There's definitely debate amongst knitters that they think that grabs yarn less, but I don't find much of a difference. So, okay. Show the sample. Yes, sorry. Thank you. So this is this one here. So see it, the zipper lines up at the top and the pocket's on the outside. So this would be the easiest way to get a zippered pocket. And you could do this in vinyl. You could do this in vinyl if you still want that see-through thing. And then you would see inside there. But this would be the easiest zippered pocket to do of all of them. And then you bind the edges. This one's a delight to sew. I love this one. But yes, it's a pocket on the outside, and then you just need to figure out what seam allowance you want there. And I realized something when I was doing this, and now I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I realized that I actually am not going to be using a 1 inch wide zipper, so I need to cut 1/4 inch more off. I'm going to be using my zipper by the yard. I'm not going to use a lot of my precious zippers like this, I have so few of these. I have more zippers to sew for jeans than anything else. And then this one is my last one like this, so I might use it on Shannon's bag if it fits, because it's my last one. I have to use my zipper by the yard when I can. All right, so this is the straight across one. We'll put that right here. All right, so I think our fourth one, thanks for reminding me to show the sample. Okay, so the first one was our facing. We have our straight pocket, and we have the binding one, and now I'm gonna do this one here. And this one, if you're doing the all fabric bag, this is the one I would recommend. Yeah, Helen. Well, you don't have to use binding, so let's. Do you like this one, Helen? Was that you that asked about which one I'm doing? Oh, that was Leslie. Okay, so I'll just say, so if you're doing this one here and you don't want to bind this, add the seam allowance here. And then do you know how to add like a ribbon to the end of your zipper? I'm going to write a note. I'll try and remember to show you guys how to do that. No binding options, and the ribbon. Because so if you backed your zipper off a little bit and sewed a piece of ribbon in here so that the raw edge at the end was a ribbon or fabric, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be ribbon. I say ribbon because a lot of people do that, and you can find it in the width of your zipper tape, but you can use fabric. I've used binding. In fact, I've used binding more often than the ribbon because it's very handy for me. So now you have an edge on the ends that can be turned under. And you could turn under this whole edge and top stitch it down. There's no binding. Yeah, people call it a zipper tab, but that's not what it's called in the industry. Right? Shannon, you are special. So yeah, a zipper tab. I did that on the bag you guys designed, and I made the pattern for. I sewed one of the zippers that way. So yeah, so let's see. No binding on that one. On the facing, that's not binding. And then, what was the other one? Facing, oh, behind binding. Well, that was binding, yeah. So, and then this one. So there's 3 of the 4 options you can do without binding. My hat is off to you making bags for a living, Helen. It's not easy work. All the stuff you have to make bags. People don't understand. All the things you have to have, you know? Okay. So for this one here, this one is, the bag is clean finished right here. Can't really see it. It's clean finished. And then I lay the zipper behind it and top stitch it down. Fully inspired by Noodlehead. She uses this technique a lot in her bags to give you kind of a fake welt pocket, a zippered welt pocket. It's great. I'm sure she didn't come up with it, but when I made her bags, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I could do it this way. So my hat is off to her to reminding me this. So I totally was inspired by that kind of technique because of sewing her bags a lot in the last year or so. Oh yeah. Yeah, I never did any of those specialty fabrics. Harris tweed, man, that stuff probably unravels like a Dickens. Okay, so to do this one here, you can notice this opening is squared off, and so what you need to know again is the width of your zipper. So for the 1 inch wide zipper, you're going to make your opening a 1/2 inch wide. And for the 1 1/4 inch, you're going to make it 3/4 of an inch wide, right? So same idea. You're going to do this on the bag body. So you can kind of sketch in where this is at, right? But you just need to know the width of your zipper and the length of your zipper, or the opening that you want that your zipper is going to accommodate. So for this one here, I'm going to be using 1¼ inch wide zipper tape. So I'm going to make my opening 3/4 of an inch wide. So this is my center. I can see this is my center right here. This is my center. I'm just going to make sure that I make the opening an equal amount on either side of the center line. Oh yeah, I bet, Helen. That is a very nice sacrifice you're making. So for this opening here, you know, I think it was 6 3/4, something like that, 7 at the very top, something like that. So we'll make it the same, but I'm gonna make it a little smaller actually. So I'm gonna bring it in 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. This is my own preference of what I want there. And then that's going to be my opening. I'm going to draw it on here so you can see it a little better. So remember, this width equals your zipper minus 1/2 inch. Your length is your opening minus 1/2 inch. Does that make sense? So if you want your opening, because this is the way to look at it. If you, like, sometimes when you're dealing with seam allowances, it can be really confusing for some folks. For me, this kind of language spoke to me early on, but sometimes I'd get lost in there and be kind of confused, like, wait, what's reality, right? So just draw your intended finished opening on your bag. Just draw the finished opening, like when it's all said and done, what is your opening size and width that you want, and then now add seam allowance to that if you need to, kind of a mediary stepping stone to get there, and add your seam allowance towards the opening. So here is my seam allowance. This is my seam right here. Okay, so this is my seam. This is my cut line, the turquoise, and then you can kind of keep it all straight. Oh, that's awesome, Helen. Good for you. That's really cool. All right, so now I have my opening there. I'm going to get rid of all this right here. And this is my seam line, okay? And then I'm going to end up with this. This was much bigger. So, and then for this pattern piece, you can cut it straight across. So I'm going to cut one of these. And I think that I'm going to do this bag is one I'm going to sew for you, an all fabric one. So I have my tops, and I have my pocket, and this one's going to be fully lined with the dandelions. I'm going to line up my pieces here. I'm using a lightweight waxed cotton. I say lightweight because it's supposed to be 10 ounces, and boy, does that vary, apparently. You know what I could do, actually? Because of the waxed cotton, I don't have to cut my pattern piece, which is my final pattern piece, and I really like having a copy of my final pattern. And just in case anyone missed it, I updated the pattern this week because the notches were missing here. Thanks for to Kimber and Penny, right? Wait, oh my God, I'm totally blanking. You guys let me know, and I was like, wait, there's no way notches are missing. And they were right. So they were missing here, and they were missing on the top piece, and it was just after all the edits we missed putting them back, apparently. It's because this is wax cotton, I can just trace this with my nail, and then I don't have to, I actually have a tracing tool over there. And there, I can see it. I don't know if you guys can see it. And then when you cut this out, just be really careful in this opening right here. Really careful. In fact, I'm going to do this shorter thing. Pull it away. You don't want this really, I mean, actually, we are going to clip that, but the thing is, we're going to clip it at an angle when we sew it, like this, at a 45-degree angle to this edge. And if you accidentally cut this way and that way, and then you're going to do that, it's going to be hard to deal with that. So Patty, oh my God, thank you. So thank you, Patty. Your name and PA, I get you and PA confused sometimes. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, on YouTube I do, because of the way the names look. Patty and Kimber told me almost simultaneously. Yeah, I don't need interfacing on this, especially on this with this canvas. I don't think you really need it. All right, so we have our pocket opening. My pocket is cut straight across for this one, for this zippered pocket. And then I have my top. So I'm going to try and hopefully sew at least that part of the bag, maybe the whole bag. I'm going to sew all of Shannon's because she has the ghastly fabric, which is super fun. Yeah, it wasn't you. I knew it, and I was looking at it and I was like, not Patty. Okay, so we have this one and this one and this one and this one. And the binding one I'm going to do on Shannon, so I just need these two, right? What's this one? I can't even remember. Is this the straight across? That's straight across. And this is the facing. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to sew. I don't even need all those. I need the sprinkles. And I have Shannon's already. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to switch my cameras around. Is there any questions on cutting that anyone needs demonstrated? If you have any questions, complaints about the pattern, anything I can demonstrate at this table, because I'm going to move to the sewing machine now, and then we're going to sew these together. We're doing good on time, though. I can sew a zip double pretty quickly, but I'll probably do a little slower because I'm talking, but I think I have plenty of time now to sew both all the way through, which would be great. So please, especially if you're new here, if you want to chat in the chat and you've never done that before, you just need to be logged into your YouTube account, and if you don't have one of those, just create it. They call it a channel. It just is an account. That's all. What other YouTube tips can we give to folks? Liking and commenting on videos always helps. I cannot see who likes or dislikes things. No one else can either. If you've ever wondered, you can go dislike your competitors' videos, which would be kind of crappy, but you can do that. I've definitely known people that do that. So, all right. I'm going to move to my sewing machine. You can still hear. Can you explain why you have the gentle curve on the pattern piece? On the top, you know, I apologize that that's not more pronounced. Is that why you're bringing it up, Patty? Because it is pretty subtle. She's talking about this pattern piece is pretty hard to tell the top from the bottom without the notches. Is that what you mean? I like on the body of the bag. Oh, yeah, I can actually. It's because when you, I have to think about this. Making it straight across makes the bag sit weird, and it's harder to sew. So the curve here and the curve on the bag makes it so that when you go around, like say this is another one of these, and you're sewing it together in a circle, you're getting a more continuous opening. And then the top, so the top kind of flares a tiny bit, but the zipper draws it in, so you're compensating for stuff like that. Oh, really, Shannon? You can on Chrome or in the YouTube app. Get the YouTube app. That's what I use. The YouTube app's so much easier on the iPad. Yeah, exactly, Patty. I think you're right. Or Penny. Yeah, right, Chan? I got one of those the other day, and I just laugh. I used to get I used to get those in the beginning, and I thought, oh, it's probably just someone who posts sewing videos. Yeah, the app on the iPad is pretty great, Shannon. My problem is that I have a more than one YouTube account, and that's just because of how I created So. I wanted it separate from Chicken Boots. So I used my other email address, and it's so confusing sometimes when I want to like something. It says you have to log in for that. And I'm like, fine, let's log in. And then it only allows me to pick an account that doesn't have YouTube associated with it. And I cannot get it to like let me pick another account, you know? Yeah, so yeah, using the app, exactly. Yeah, try that. Shannon's probably busy downloading it now. But and I don't want to like some of my friends' videos as So because I don't want them to know I stream, because they're not people who know me in real life. You know, like I game with them. So I don't really need those worlds to cross. So I think it's funny when they talk about streaming. Like, really? I live a secret life. Okay, I'm gonna change cameras, so I kind of still see you, can still hear me. You'll hear me banging around a little bit. I only change the screen so that I don't make you sick when I move the camera. So I can rotate it around and it won't like make you kind of go, whoa. Bring all my samples. Let's not forget the mouse this time. Yep, secret identity. It's kind of funny. Some of them know, some of them don't. It's not as exciting as it sounds, I promise. It's honestly a little odd. Because I don't like being dishonest. But, you know, sometimes they'll invite their friend along who's 16. And I don't know them. Wait, which way do I go? This way? Yeah. I have a whole thing on a Lazy Susan, so it rotates around. That's what I'm caught on. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to touch the microphone. It might be a little loud for a second. I can't have any cords touching the screen. That will press buttons. I'll still have to adjust some things. Ah, so nice to just sit down. Let's see how I did. All right, I think that's zoomed in. That's what's going on there. Right? That's not the one I zoomed in. Oh yeah, it's zoomed in. So it's really weird. Have I told you guys that I wish you could see the camera, because that camera, that face cam right there is, see, it needs to go this way. So it's actually facing the wall. Like literally it's perfectly straight facing the wall over there. But it must be curved because it's looking at me from over here. It's really weird. I don't get it. And the other one's like that too. Like maybe when they put them together, they get a little cockeyed in there. I don't know. All right, so if you haven't sewn with me before, I use an industrial machine, and you probably saw that on the video if you got the zip double. My machine can't do zigzag, but it does do straight stitch, and I love it. I really love sewing on an industrial machine. So, All right, does everything look okay? Sound okay? How's the lighting? Lighting's okay. Could be a little brighter. Let's see. Not too much. It's hard to see the vinyl. All right, how's that? I'm gonna get a drink of water. You guys are still there, right? All right, so we have these two to sew. This one, and then we have, oh, I forgot Shannon's. It was in the bin. I had a bin to carry all this over with. And Shannon, I'm going to make you a mask, too. I don't know if I'll do it on stream, though. All right, so I need my ribbon handles. I only need 2. Here's her binding. That binding. Plethora of zippers so I can talk about those with you. And then I have, oh, her vinyl. I think it's all good. Cool, thanks, Ray. Here's the vinyl. Okay. All right, so I have a ton of junk on my machine here. Let's do our, let's pin the label so I don't forget it. Wait, how you feel about that, Shannon? You don't get Chicken Boots labels anymore. You're one of the only people in the world that has a label with something on with a one of these labels on it, though. Like it's special. All right, so one thing I noticed I could show you is, you see how my vinyl's super wrinkly? If you have this happen, I'm gonna warn you. Oh, nice, Tanya. Well, this AB, so I used to have it professionally cut. And so what they do, I would love to see the process. So I would send them bolts or rolls of fabric, whatever. And I would say bias cut 1 3/8 inch wide. That's all I would tell them. And then what they do is they unroll it all. And then they piece it together. And then they re-roll it. They piece it together on a 45-degree angle. Then they re-roll it on a tube. And then they cut it the width that I ask for. So when I hand make it, I take the extra tubes I have around and I roll it on there. And it, like, you can use a paper towel or a toilet paper tube. You can just cut those in half because they're so soft. The cardboard's really soft. Or like a wrapping paper tube or something. And then roll it on there. And and if you watch my, I'm pretty sure my how to make binding video or how to sew binding shows you how to do that. Ooh, do I show you guys how to do that? I can't remember. So, oh, now I figured you might need a couple of masks since you're going back to work soon, and you might want to be able to wash them. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I will admit, I am not, Rayanne got so good at dealing with vinyl weirdness. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to try and show you what she does. So she, so this is how I would do it because I'm a chicken. I would get nervous. And I would just iron my surface like this. So my iron's hot right now. The steam doesn't really matter, but it does get your vinyl wet. And then I lay my vinyl on here. Like this. Don't let it touch the iron. So my method takes a long time. And Rand doesn't have time for that. So she would use a press cloth. And she would lower the heat a little bit. And she would just iron it. Like, you really can do that. I don't have a press cloth here, but you really can do that. and it'll be fine. Just don't get it too hot and don't do it too much, you know? Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to punch you guys. Hopefully this bag will calm down. This is going to be Shannon's. You see it's a little wet now. But that's what she would do. She would sit there and occasionally we would get creases, really serious ones, in something she'd already sewn and she didn't notice the crease. Especially when she would turn the zip doubles right side out, there would sometimes be like a little spot that did this kind of thing and would make a little ding in it, and she could get it out. She was really good at it. And she would just use a piece of fabric and iron it really quickly. There's a sometimes not okay result from it, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Louise. So don't be too shy about it, and use a scrap. Just don't touch your iron with it, because it will change it'll get shinier on the mat. And you also wouldn't want to ruin your iron by getting any of it on your iron. It doesn't melt that fast though, I promise. It's got a higher melting point than that. So, all right, so let's put her bag. So let's talk about a little bit about zipper. Just wanted to show you. Yeah, so this one is a tooth zipper, but it's clear. I got these at Stone Mountain and Daughter, I think. So this is that tooth zipper I was telling you about. I do not like these zippers. I don't like the way they look. They look, for me, I'm not very judgmental, but for this looks very 80s and 90s to me from the fashion industry, and I'm not over that. But this is really popular in the bag making world, and I think it's just my own little bias towards it. I'm just gonna be totally honest. That's how I feel about it. I really like coiled chain. I have never, ever, ever had a coiled chain zipper fail. Ever. And I worked in multiple companies that use them. I used to buy mine from the outdoor company, and then I finally was a big girl and I could make my own order, and I got the exact same stuff from YKK. So this is the brass zipper. You can use any of these zippers for this pocket. You just need to know your width and your length. That's all. This is my zipper by the yard. Let me get this. So, and this is a separating zipper. Goodness knows why you would need a separating zipper this short though. Oh, did I cut it? No, it is a really short separating zipper. So separating means that the bottom is like a jacket. So I don't know why you would need such a short little zipper. Maybe it was a sample from YKK, and that's also 5.0 coil. It's bigger than mine. There's quite a jump. Might be 6. Yeah. All right, so here's a nice little narrow one as well. Maybe I'll hold on to that for Shannon's bag. So yeah, all of this is zipper by the yard. All that's sitting here is zipper by the yard. And so I put my zipper pull, on there. And so often you'll see my zippers where the zipper pull is in the middle of the zipper. Like that, and that's why it's closed above and below. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't know any bag makers use them? That's so funny, because almost every competitor I had used them. Even people I like was friends with that I would talk with, and they say, oh, I just like them because they don't grab yarn as bad. And I was like, ooh, that's such a good thing to think about. My only problem with yarn and a zipper though is that it gets behind the right here. It gets behind the zipper pull right here. So you just need to keep it away, and it pulls out. You just can't let it get too hung up and get too hard to get out. So here's my zipper by the yard. That's mostly what I use. My ribbon. Okay, I got a mess here. So let's move you out of here and you over here. And we're gonna do Shannon's first, I think. Well, actually, I'm gonna do my little samples, and I'm gonna do Shannon's first, because that's the one with the binding, and I feel like that's gonna be the most common way for people to try and do it, because it's the simplest amount of pattern drafting. I know you guys. Let's get you guys out of the way. A little low on space over here. Shannon even bought Chicken Boots zipper pulls from me and then sent them to me to put on her bags. I thought that was really funny, Shannon, because I'm like, you know, you could have put that on there when you got your bag. I thought it was really cute. I was like, oh, Chicken Boot zipper pull. All right, so let's see. I'm not sewing you either right now. I'm doing my samples, which I just can't find. Oh, here they are. All right. I don't want you either. I like to organize all my stuff so that it's in the order of how I'm going to grab it. That's great, Helen. Yeah, the coil by the yard is not popular here. I've tried to sell the coil by the yard to bag makers and they're not interested. I'm like, but it's like 7 cents a yard. So affordable and you can make it any length. But a lot of folks really like it when the zippers match. Do you? That's awesome. A lot of people like the zippers to match and I respect that. So, all right, so this is the facing. So if you have a wrong or a right side of your vinyl or your fabric, you're going to start on the wrong side. You can't do this from the right side to the inside. Hey, Megan. And the reason is, well, I'll show you what it looks like on the back when we're done, and you'll see why you can't do it. So you do need to go from the inside of the bag to the outside. So you're going to put the right side of your facing on the wrong side of the bag. Can you see my vinyl okay? And you're going to sew it around this curve at a 1/4 inch seam. And I'll lift up my presser foot and walk it around. Oh shoot, I was going to show you some techniques on prepping this facing. Alright, to make this facing easier to do the next step on, I would pre-iron this edge. And to make the pre-ironing easier, I would put a stitch line just inside the seam allowance. So just next to your seam, towards the seam allowance, just put a stitch line there. I'll just do it on this one even though I've already sewn it. It'll be a little awkward. It won't look like it's easier, but if you did this before you attached to the bag, it would be. Even if you just do it on these curves, you know? Oh, I got a little further away, especially around the curves. Whoops. That's awesome. Really? That's so funny, Helen. Well, if you know of any of them that want to buy it, I still have like 200 meters in cream and 200 meters in black and more. All right, so then I pull one of the end threads here around this curve like this. This is mostly for folks that probably don't know this trick, haven't been sewing as long. This is definitely not something you would see in bag making very often because it's more of like a garment sewing technique. I use normal stitch length, Leslie, because I don't want it to gather, you know. If it gathers, it'll be a little harder to deal with. So now you can already see it's curving towards the inside. So I guess if you forget to do this before you put it on the bag, it's not too bad. You just really would struggle to iron it this close to the vinyl unless you want to live on the edge and, you know, YOLO. That's fine. You don't really have to do this long edge here, but you can. You can do it a little bit. So you're just trying to add a little tension. You're trying to make this a little tighter so that the fabric, see, it starts wanting to lift up, and it's really easy to turn it under. All right, so here's the hard part on this. Like I said, I like the way this looks, but I don't like to sew this one. You need to clip this curve, and you need to clip it kind of frequently, and you need to get right up to that seam line. Don't be shy. Just the curve. The more clips you put in, the more of a curve you will end up with. Now we could have done this straight, like we're doing on the fabric version, and it would be a little easier. And so if you want to do a straight version of the facing, like meaning a squared off rectangle opening, kind of like that here, wait till that when we sew that, and I'll show you that. Oh, that's a good idea. Hey, Brookie, you lurking? I haven't asked her. I should. Well, I wonder if she's already has a supplier. I figured she already had a supplier. I love her. She's so awesome. What an amazing seamstress she is. I love her fabrics. All right, so I'm going to try and do this time without edge stitching this first, because I'm going to admit edge stitching this right now makes the next step really easy. So if you don't mind 2 rows of stitching when you go to attach your zipper right here. I have autofocus off, sorry. So you can see I edge stitched this, and then I edge stitched the zipper back there. That was a cheap way to do it, I know. But I was in a hurry, and like I said, it was 107 and I wanted to go home. So I'm going to try and do it without that edge stitch first. I just need a few more clips. I can't remember if they're here now or not. I swear I brought them here. Some clips would be nice. All right, I don't have clips. Because you can't, if you're doing fabric and you're not doing like a waxed thing, you really can't pin this. So just so you know. But I mean, if you if you're doing vinyl, you can't clip, or wax, you can't clip this. But if you're just doing all fab or pin it, if you are doing, let me just start over. Oh my God. Nice. It's nice to see you, Brooke. Lunch sounds good. I'm a little hungry. If you are using vinyl or wax canvas, do not pin it. That's all I'm trying to say. Let me find some clips. I don't use them very often, so I always forget where I have them now. Oh, I found them. Oh my gosh. You can use binder clips. I've seen a YouTuber use hair clippies. So you don't have to buy these. I know they're pretty pricey. But let's just try and, I'm going to do this the way some folks I think would try and do this. All right, so we got our curve. Look how nice that curve turned out. I can't whistle. So you see that nice curve there because I clipped it. This is the reason why we wouldn't sew this to the inside. You will see the inside of your facing. So it's like a glass bag. And so now I can turn under this edge here. The clips are kind of in the way. Turn under that edge. I didn't stitch this side very good. You can see why you're going to try the binding now, can't you? You're like, this looks fussy. This is fussy. This is very fussy. This is not a production technique. I would never, ever do this in production. Don't you either. If you need a production prep talk or lecture, you just call me. I'm here for you. I love the, but Sarah me. I love those talks. Just ask Brooke. Okay. All right, so now we're ready. I never sew with clips. They look so funny. Okay. When I stitched that first stitching, I got a little out of the seam allowance right here. So now you're just going to edge stitch your facing down. And because of that stitch line, it just wants to stay turned under. I'm going to use my awl to kind of push the fabric against the sewing. I'm walking around my curve here. Just like that. Night, Helen. That sounds delightful. Night. Wait, tell me what flavor. I asked for mint chip, and then my husband said, oh, they were having a 2-for-1 thing. And at first I was thinking, he bought 2 things of mint chip? Like, I guess he doesn't mind my 12 extra pounds this year, you know? And then I didn't look at it for a few days. And then I looked last night and he got peanut butter and chocolate and mint chip. Those are my two favorite flavors. And I was like, ooh, peanut butter and chocolate. And he was like, I got that for me. I was like, well, that wasn't the flavor to get for you because I eat that. All right, so I didn't do too good right there, but you can see like that's a nice rounded, you want to avoid binding, there you go. But this is how it's going to look on the wrong side. No one's going to see that because the zipper's going to be behind it. Oh yeah, mint chocolate chip. Nice. See ya, Helen, enjoy. All right, so now we're going to put our zipper back here. So, like I said, I'm using a by the yard zipper. I will put a zipper pull on this so that you can see me work around it. I'm hoping today I'm at least sewing one that's not a by the yard. All right, so I just made that a little bigger. It makes it a little easier to have it a little bigger because I'm going to trim it down to fit afterward. But if you're cutting it close, that's fine. That's totally fine, right? Just make sure you center your zipper. If you want to clamp it, you know, I'm going to do that. Let's clamp it because at this end, it kind of wants to go that way. I'm going to warn you. The most important thing here is to leave enough clearance at the top so that when you go to do your final thing by putting the top on, you have enough room to maneuver back here to get the binding on, okay? So you do need your seam allowance, but you need more than that because you need your presser foot to be able to pass along between the zipper and the top, okay? So just be really careful, or use a zipper foot. I have one, but I don't use it usually. So you're gonna have to probably do that for the last step. All right, so line up your zipper tape. You don't want to use a really wide zipper and then have it do this poke above. That is not like room to play with. You'll need it later. All right, so we're just going to edge stitch along here, and we're going to top stitch the zipper down. I don't know why I just back stitched. Now do not let this push away, right? You need to keep this nice and straight because optically it might be really obvious if it's not. So just try and keep that nice and straight and edge stitch down. Push your slider past. This isn't the most ideal foot because I can see the fabric kind of going into the crack of my foot and it'll make like a little edge. Oh, it didn't. I'm surprised. Okay. I need to get my foot onto the coil there. I can sew straight through, but you might not have to if you just have zipper tape there. All right, so now we have our zipper down. Okay. So now I'm going to trim this inside that seam allowance. So now it's like someone said that you can use nail polish right here. You can, once you've done a few of these, you can kind of get the size of your zipper and then pre-finish them first. And then now you have your pocket, right? Pocket. And you're going to bind your edges of your pocket and you're going to top stitch it down just like normal. All right, do you guys need me to do that part? Because that's in the video. So yeah, so there you go. Here is your new zippered pocket. And you know, I would stitch across the top. I didn't on my sample and it was a little fussy. So stitch across the top once you have your, and so now you have your zippered pocket with a facing. Now this was bound and top stitched to the bag, right? So there's one. And then now we have the straight across one, which I really like. And I think, yeah, same thing. I'm using I'm gonna have to leave myself enough zipper coil to do one of these bags. So I'll just do black this time. No, I'm gonna use, I'm trying to remember what I planned. All right, so So we were talking earlier about a no binding version of this, right? So if you want, or your zipper is, maybe it's not even pretty down there. Like say it's like this one. And you have this like extra sitting there and you're like, shoot, I didn't think of that, right? Yeah, exactly. I want to sew Shannon's bag too. So if you're like, the only zipper I have is this, and I've cut everything out, and now I have like this stuff there, you can just extend your zipper, you know, by adding some, you know, ribbon down here, right? So let's see, you can do this lots of different ways. You can do actual ribbon, which I have right here. Cut off a little chunk. I also have this. I have like 4 rolls of this that I don't need, or more. It's like the 1-inch wide poly grosgrain ribbon. I love it, but I don't need that much. So a lot of people will do it like this, where you can sew it. Oh, I'm not, okay, so I'm not going to use the zipper, but you can sew it like this above or below that little stop. Just make sure you don't sew through the stop. And you sew across right here, right? And now you have a nice looking ribbon end to your zipper, right? Same with binding, or you can do the same exact thing, you know, like this. I've done this many different ways, just, and every way is slightly different, and just depends on what you want. And now you have a nice looking end to your zipper, right? So you can do that. You can do ribbon there. I've even done like this, where I wrap it around like this, sew across the end there, and pull it across. Doesn't matter if there's a fold, and then you have your new end. So we'll leave one end like that, and I'll show you both ways to sew this. All right, so I need a zipper pull. I need a zipper pull because if I forget, you guys are gonna be like, well, that was easy. All right, so I'm gonna bind that side, and I'll turn under this side. So now remember, what I said earlier is if you do the proper seam allowance, which I illustrated, you could sew this zipper to the pocket just like this, right sides together, turn it, and then you're to the next step, okay? I'm gonna bind it, and because that's the seam allowance I allowed. Pretty sure. Let's make sure, but pretty sure, yep. So I'm gonna, and then you can see me doing my binding. So I would start from the wrong side, right side of the binding down. I pull a little bit and I lift it up, just mainly because I don't pin it, and I like to control it. You can press this if you want, but I don't usually. I kind of pull it like that, you know, like I run my finger, but that's about it. And then I turn it to the right side. I don't care what the back side looks like, that's why. I only care what the top side looks like, because the back side's gonna have a zipper against it and no one's gonna see it. So I just need that fold to go just past that stitch line. And when I gently pulled it as I was applying it, it really makes it a lot easier. All right, so now we have our bound edge. And now we're going to sew the zipper. Oops, forgot I'm doing this a certain way. Let's see. I need to allow enough to turn under. So we'll do like that. I need to know where that's at. Okay, so then you're going to line up your binding edge. And if this was a vinyl pocket, you just don't want the zipper to go below the binding edge, right? Because then you would see it through the vinyl. So just, what I do always is I put my presser foot up against the zipper coil right there. And generally that's enough. I just need to catch the binding onto the zipper, and I don't want my to use my zipper foot. That's me. I kind of try and keep it straight. Like I see, okay, that's where it's at. That's where it's lining up. So now I just kind of keep it like that, and then I can just sew it on just like that. All right, so now if you're going to do the binding finish, you're going to bind this whole side here. Just cut a piece off. I love this binding. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the only ones I never sold very much of either. I ordered it. So I put it face down on the wrong side. Go through your zipper. Make sure if you're near a zipper stop, you don't go through the zipper stop. Pull it to the right side. Put that fold just past the stitch line and edge stitch. This makes your zipper super secure as well. So now we're going to attach it to the bag. Remember, this one has to go on the right side. And I always start my pocket by starting along the bottom here, because then it's like a helping hand, right? It kind of secures it to the bag kind of initially. So I'm going to start a little further down, because on this side I'm actually going to turn it under and top stitch it down. So if you want that non-binding version, right? So this stitch is inside that seam allowance. I go all the way to the edge of the binding, and then I turn. Yeah, that's awesome. Me too. Binding is, I know how it's a little tricky, but God, it's just so super satisfying and finishes things so nicely. All right, so let's just go across the top. Like we don't get to do that on the other pocket version. I just did something weird there, because there's no top of the pocket, right? It's like a curved opening. But let's just stitch this down. It'll make the next step, or the last step of attaching the top, a lot easier. And just try and keep your pocket nice and flat, because it's already secured here. You don't want to do this, or do too much and make your vinyl buckle underneath, Get here. Now we're getting to where we're going to turn it under. And then you can pre-iron that if you want, but I think you got it. You can even change the pocket shape, right? The reason there's a lot of curves on our things is because it had to go through the binding machine. 1/4 inch seam allowance. I used 1/4 inch Leslie. You can do whatever you want. It just depends on your pocket and how big your opening there is. But yeah, so if this were sewn with a seam, you could have a non-binding version. No one's going to see the back of it. And yeah, like I said, like you could make this pocket straight if you want, or I don't know what other shape you would do, but just know that the reason I did the patterns the way they are is that I wanted to make them as true to the Chicken Boots product as possible. But it doesn't mean you have to do it that way, because a lot of the decisions and the style effects of the Chicken Boots things were in response to how we made them or how we needed them. And because this would go through my binding machine, I needed a curve. I can't do right angles. And curves are just, I like organic shapes in general. So you could make this an all in matching fabric and it would look pretty invisible. So, all right, so there is your pocket on the outside, but zippered now. You could do this in vinyl, and then you would see inside of it still. You could do the fabric bag and a vinyl pocket. There's so many options. All right, now we're gonna sew a bag. So let's see here. I think I need, what color zipper do we want? Actually, you're gonna bear through one more sample. I'm just gonna do the edge of this fabric one, and then I'm gonna sew Shannon's bag all the way through. So this will be the clean finish zipper, right? That's the one? Yeah. Who designed this thing? Okay. Let's move all that over there. All right, we don't need you. I need you eventually. I don't need you now, right? Can't even remember. All right, yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Actually, I have an idea about this one. If you do this version, like I'm doing it with the full lining, because I should clarify, you could make this one not fully lined. I have the cutout, right? If you want to do a single layer fabric on the outer bag, if you cut a pocket with this shape and then your under pocket, you can do that. And so you would just treat this as your pocket. And I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but you don't have to fully line the whole bag. You just need to line right here. And honestly, what I would do is I would just make it the same as your pocket piece so it lines up. So, all right, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna sew this right sides together. 1/4 inch seam allowance, you're gonna sew this rectangle opening here. This is our fake welt. Quarter inch seam. It's the easiest to deal with on something like this when you're in these really tight spaces. Because we're not doing a real welt pocket, if you're a little inaccurate on the seam allowance, it's a lot more forgiving, okay? Really, Louise? Cool. Yeah, they've been turning on for me on Twitch all the time, especially with a particular streamer. I think it's because of my fat fingers, you know? Okay, so you can see my stitch line, right? Don't be shy about this next step. You're going to clip to this corner. You're going to clip all the way. You know how the dentist tells you to only floss the teeth you want to keep? You only clip as far in there as sharp of a corner as you want. Okay? All right, so that's all you need to do. Just clip in there. See that? And now you're going to pull the lining to the inside of the bag. Okay. Oh man, I unthreaded my machine. All right, so pull this in here. Now it looks like it's not going to work, doesn't it? Right? Yeah, so it looks like a little speech balloon. And if you click it, it'll say on or off. If it's a touch screen, do you know if your laptop's a touch screen? I've actually met people that didn't realize their computers were touch screens sometimes when I've touched it. And they're like, why are you touching the screen? Oh, it's a touch screen. I didn't even know it. Mine is, so. All right, so here's your opening, right? It looks like kind of messy, but it's not. So if you can iron this, go ahead and iron it. I can't because of the waxed canvas. So I'm just going to finger press this. And the waxed canvas is actually really easy to deal with because of that. It's kind of nice. I like sewing with this lighter weight waxed canvas, but I actually don't think this lighter weight waxed canvas is very waxed canvasy. Not a touchscreen. Yeah, so it looks like a little, let me see if I can see it. Oh yeah, it's the box that has CC in it for me. So it's still, so if you hover your mouse on me on the screen, there's a little settings cog, and to the left of that there's a CC. Okay, so yeah, finger press this or iron it. Okay. Okay, and now get your zipper. Let me thread my dang machine. It's not a big deal. I just don't like, it's harder on camera. It's like doing math in front of people, you know? My hands don't actually shake. They just look like they do. Okay. So get your zipper. I need to use this, but I don't know if that's my last one. I could use this one. That might be kind of fun. Yeah, I know, right, Louise? It took me a long time to figure it out the other day. On Twitch, it's like a rounded square, and it has some squiggles in it. So it's kind of like a speech bubble, but not. I think I'll use this. And I'm gonna, this thing's huge. I don't know if I can, yeah. So I'm gonna stitch across the ends of this zipper. And I'm gonna kind of overlap them a little bit. It's just easier to do. All right, so do I want to do that? How will it look when it's done? Like that? I might, so that I don't have to go through the teeth twice. All right, so you're gonna lay your zipper back there, and you can see I'm putting the head of the top, not the head, but the stops at the top. I'm butting them up against this seam. Now, with this coil chain, I would actually just go past just like that, and I can sew through it no problem, right? It's one of those tooth zippers, so I was practiced at those. You're just gonna edge stitch. Do I want pink thread? Dang it. I told myself, don't pick things you gotta switch threads on. Sorry, guys. I need to make money anytime I can, so I'm gonna make sure this will be a good sample. Okay. Will that work? Yeah. I can put a set of bobbin inside the top of my cones of thread. I think I've shown you guys that. I didn't know this for years, but they sit right there. Isn't that cool? And so I just set it on my thread cradle. Here I am, threading my machine one more time. All right. Okay, so now butt that up against there. I don't even have my zipper cut to length yet. I'm just not gonna worry about that quite yet. And try and get my lining to the inside. If you know, if I had more time, I'd probably finesse that a little bit more. Clamp it, clip it, whatever you need to do. Now you're just gonna stitch around. I'm not gonna back stitch, and the reason I'm not is that I don't like my back stitch to show, and it'll be encased in a seam at the top eventually. So you know, it's just my own little thing. I know that it's gonna be secured someday. You'll buy anything from me. Oh, really? We need shirts that say, I'm anything but so-so. All right, so just remember, this is the same rule. You need to have enough room to get your zipper, your foot of your machine alongside the zipper here. And you need your zipper tape to line up with the top of the bag. So make sure it's lining up with the top of the bag. Just like that. It's okay if the zipper's low. You need as much clearance above it as possible. I'm gonna pull my lining from underneath to pull it to the inside. That's, I feel like, the most effective trick to getting that lining not to creep out and show is pulling it from the inside. I definitely didn't stay very straight right there. Look at that stitching. Don't look at that stitching, never mind. All right, so can I go through teeth? Let's see. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I'm walking my machine with my hand wheel just to make sure. All right. Okay, so now we have our zipper in. Oh, you know what? I don't think I can do my little trick. I was wondering if I could sew this so that, can I? I have this idea, and I'm not going to waste your time with my experiments, but I had this idea. Okay, so clip your zipper. Now remember, this is really up high and your pocket is going to be up against it. I really don't think yarn or anything like that is going to find its way to it. It's going to be protected. So I had this idea that I could maybe sew this lining. So let's say I stitched this down. Let me just walk myself through it. I have to know. Sometimes I just have to know. Sorry, you guys are just kind of a captive audience, you know. We're going to pretend this is stitched down. Now, could I clean finish this bag? I think I can. That's very exciting. All right, so next you're going to secure your pocket to the bag. Now, you could do this a few different ways. You could turn under this edge like this and stitch it down. You could just stitch it down. I mean, you know, I'm not here to judge you with the raw edges. I wouldn't, but you could do that, right? Just stitch it down. This is on the inside of your bag, but things are going to touch it and threads will start coming up on that edge. Not that bad though because of the curve. You could bind it. And what was the other thing I was thinking? I think that's everything, right? You could turn it under, you could bind it. I mean, if it's vinyl, which no one will see, it's not going to unravel. You can pick something that doesn't unravel. Oh, you can serge it. That's what. Hey, Ramona. How's it going? Yeah, it's hot here too. So yeah, you could serge that edge and then just top stitch it down. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to serge this really quick. Only because of time, and I don't really want the bulk of a bound seam back there. So I'm going to do that really quick. And it's a little awkward for me to bind on my serger. I mean, use my serger because I don't really have it set up for this yet. That's a little too tight. Let's loosen that up. That's a lot better. All right. Just leave that over there. So was anyone here the other day when I serged a hole in the middle of my dress? Excitement, 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 as my mom would say. We love drama. It all worked out, but I did do that. All right, so now you just need to secure your pocket back here. And before you think you're clever and you're like, all I gotta do is stitch it down right here, and you won't have a pocket. All you'll have is an access portal into your bag, which is fine. Except you wouldn't have a pocket. All right, so again, I'm gonna start at the bottom. I just like having that helping hand. I can do that from the wrong side actually. I don't have to do it from the right side if you want to see. Just center it or line up your notches, stitch it down. I have only the right color thread on the top, so I need to do this from the right side. I'm gonna have to feel the ridge of my serging. Wish me luck. There we go. All right, let's stitch down across the top. The head of this zipper it's gigantic. All right, so now we have, see how I did? Okay, so now we have our zippered pocket. And all we see is the stitching line. I feel like this is a pretty classy way to do this. Hey, Barbara, how's it going? Oh, nice, Ramona. Oh, good, good, good. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, they're all linked on my website. It's a little easier to find them. I know. It's so hard to find things in YouTube. So you could really make this very more understated than how I sew things, you know, with all the bright colors. You can still see a little bit of my dandelions here, which will be interesting since I made the bag top the pink as well. So I'm going to take this bag one step further because I think I have a way to sew this without treating these as one like this, right? You can clean finish this. So sew your lining now. Yeah, I know I have pink thread. I need it for the outer though. I should have just done the outer and then switched. But this is on the inside of the bag. No one's going to see it. Except you know in your heart of hearts what you did. But as we say at So-So, what happens at So-So stays at So-So. All right, so now you're going to put these right sides together. I think my experiment's going to work just fine. This wax cotton is very easy to sew. I've heard of people saying they get buildup, and this one doesn't do that. But like I said, it feels pretty, like it wouldn't last very long. The company was a pain in the butt to work with, so oh well. Watermelon Cali shirt. Oh, nice. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Very drama, yeah. Yeah, that hole. Okay, so look at that. So now you have a clean finished on the inside. Yeah, I know, my pocket's surged. If you are, okay, so here's another note. I'm always about giving options. I hope that's not too overwhelming, but I've just like, it just depends on what you want, what you're willing to deal with, and what you like, right? So if you want, if you're not using a see-through zipper like me, and you know, it's just like a opaque zipper, right? You could put this pocket lining facing the inside of the bag rather than the pocket. Yeah, I know, like when people open the pocket, they would see the back side of the fabric. That's not as fun, but you could make the pocket 2 layers of fabric, one facing the inside of the bag and one facing the outside or inside the pocket, and then it would be cuter. I agree. So there we go. Now you would just carry on with your binding step here and your binding step here, and your bag bottom is ready for the top that you've probably already assembled. So there we go. But yeah, it's completely finished. And I really like the idea of this pocket here. Why is that wonky? And it worked. I thought it wasn't going to work there for a second. I was like, oh wait, I did not think that through. I hadn't thought of that, but I actually worked around it. Okay, so good. So there we go. That's that bag. I'll finish that later. Now let's do our ghastly bag. It's going to be ghastly. I can't decide if I want a black zipper. Probably. All right, let's sew a zip double. I put it on the outside of the bag, and some of the testers said, cool, Patty. Right sides together or wrong sides together. It could be sewn right sides together. You're right. You could, that was how you assemble it, Ramona. If you wanted, you could do that pocket right sides together, turn it right side out, because the top and bottom would be open, and edge stitch it down. It's, it would be definitely clean, and you wouldn't have to use a serger, which I think the serger looks messy. I actually don't prefer serging at all. That's awesome, Leslie. I want to make sure I answer Ramona. Did I answer that, Ramona? I'm not sure which one, because that was a lined bag. That was view C. So you can still do the zippered pocket and have the lining be clean finish. So I wouldn't double the lining, but the pocket, like someone just said, they could do it wrong side, right sides together. Yeah, and clean finish that edge. Right? So you could, because remember your pocket isn't attached, it's not attached to anything yet, right? When you get to it. So if you had two of these pockets, you could sew them right sides together at a really small seam allowance here. As long as you have enough room to attach it, you're fine. You can do 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. Turn it right side out, iron it, and you'd have a clean edge, and then you just top stitch that edge down. And then it would probably even be more invisible as far as the way it looks inside the bag. That'd be really cool. All right, so we're going to make now a clear version with the binding opening. I didn't prep this vinyl. What did I prep then? I need a I need a template. Just a second. Maybe I'll use this piece of vinyl with no wrinkles too. Okay, cool, Ramona. I'm going to use this piece of vinyl without the wrinkles for Shani. Okay. I didn't prep this one with the curve. So this is going to be the binding version. I'll show you a sample in a second. Oh boy. Yeah, I can draw. Where's my scissors? Like I was just using them, wasn't I? All right. Because these are not ideal. I feel like Lily Tomlin in that gigantic chair. All right. No ink on the table. No ink? All right, so the one we're doing now is a binding edge. We like binding. We like binding. I don't have another example. If I had one more, but I don't. So we're gonna bind this edge. Oh, I do need to change my thread color though. Do I? Yeah, I do. Okay, so we have the top. I don't know if you're still here, Shannon, but look, I matched the print. Hopefully when I sew it, it's going to continue right there. Whoop. Fingers crossed that that was Edith Ann. Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed that I actually do it all correct. This could use a little ironing. Let's iron this just a little bit. Just a little bit. Oops, I always forget which way this one goes. This fabric had some gentle folds in it. And it is the pocket, so really, this is her favorite part of this fabric print. Shannon's pretty much the only customer I've done custom for. I mean, I've done it for my friends. She has a particular affinity for this line of fabric, these characters, the Ghastlies. And I have had the pleasure of pretty much sewing almost every season of the Ghastlies for her, but no one else. It's never been in the Chicken Boots line. And it's a really fun, Rand loved it. We'd get a big old box of that fabric, and she'd be like, that was Rand's reaction every time. Something different. Basically, she was sick of anything Chicken Boots. I did not blame her one bit. And then Shannon would give us months to do it. She'd be like, I don't care if it's next year. It was like dessert for Rayanne. Okay, so I'm just switching to some black thread. I'm using a size 14 needle today, only because I was sewing a dress with a size 14 needle, and I haven't changed it. It's fairly new as well, and it should be totally fine for this. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bind my pocket. This better be enough binding. I didn't check. Oh, I forgot I ran out the other day. So when I run out, I save these, and then I wind my own on there. I hope I have enough binding. I should have checked. So I usually bind a lot of my pieces. Anything I can. I prep things first. I'm not sure what order I did this in the video, though. Did I do the binding first? Probably not. I probably did the handle. Or the top. I wanted to use this binding so it coordinates with the project bag we made her earlier this year. But it's probably the last thing we'll be able to make in this binding because it's all I have. That little curve is always a little tricky right there, isn't it? But, you know, you can kind of finagle it when you go to stitch it down onto the bag. You know, it's not such a big deal. Hi, Sophia. That's the last one. They didn't really give you enough with that scene on it. So I don't think there's going to be a mask. I didn't cut your mask, though. I think you had a preference, but I don't remember what it was now. No, well, on Sophia, not on the zippered pocket. Is that what you mean? Maybe make sure I understand, because the zippered pocket was right here, right? And the lining was there. And so if you put the pocket line, you can't put the pocket lining behind because it's already sewn at the top with the zipper. But I might be misunderstanding what you're saying. All right, so I'm going to leave this like this for now. I'm going to do the handle. Getting close. I know, it's such a pain. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to comment, and I'm not logged in, and I don't want to leave the stream to do that. That's what I should do at the beginning. Okay, everybody, log in. Oh, is that what you mean? So, yeah, that I know what you mean. And I did do that on... Did I do that on this one? Yeah, I did do that on this one. So this one here, you can see, this is a fully lined version, and you can't see the pocket. But it's because this is one layer, and I bound the edge, sewed the zipper behind it, right? So that's like that. Then I attached the pocket, Then I put my lining in there. So you're right, it'll work for that. So if I was doing an all fabric version of the one I am doing today, this one right here, that's how it would work. I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't even think to show you that that's how I did that one. All right, so I buy my handle. We bound handles purely to give them more body and a decorative edge and to soften the look of using a black ribbon because, you know, we didn't have the budget to have ribbon to match every fabric group. So it was just a fun way to kind of carry over the binding. You don't even need to do it. Was that what, yeah, you can't put the pocket in between the lining of the zippered pocket because then the pocket wouldn't go, there would be no pocket. Because you're, oh, I don't know how to describe that. So like I said before, like, you can't just, like, otherwise you could just stitch the lining and the outer together, right? But then you wouldn't even have, there would be no pocket. You can post a link. I think you can. All right, so now we have our zipper handle, not zipper handle. All right, so now we're gonna do the top. So I always just prep these, set them aside. Oh, we can bind this too. Let's bind this right now. All right, so we're gonna bind our opening here. And I got a different piece of vinyl out. It's much thicker than the other stuff. Same gauge, but felt thicker. And it has a slight sheen on the back side, so I like to put that on the inside. All right, so this is a little tricky. You need to do this little curve, just like you always do. This is the exact same treatment, except we're doing it on the vinyl body rather than the fabric pocket. I have to lift up my machine to kind of walk around that curve and look and see it stands straight up. And now same thing, you're just gonna, just like you would normally, just go past your seam so it looks nice. I love sewing binding. There's just something so satisfying. Okay, so now there we have our opening. Oh, I'm gonna fix that right there though. I'm gonna fix that. I'm just gonna take it out. Oof. It is hard to see. Black, man. It is hard to see. I doubt you can see, but you can see, I don't know if you can see that yeah, there. If this was on the, if that little spot right there, that flower wasn't there, like it was black, it'd be fine. No one would know. I wouldn't have known. Yeah, that curve on the, you know, and it doesn't have to be a curve, Louise. You can make all those straight angles. It's a curve because we used to put it through our binding machine. And I don't find right angles to be much easier. They have their own set of challenges, you know. Okay, let me fix that. I'll use my awl this time. I could use a little light right there, eh? I don't typically sew black on camera. There we go. Okay, cut that flush. It's cute. I like that binding so much. I kind of want to put the pocket on and do the zipper right now, so I will. Because if this is what you're here for and you don't want to watch the rest of the bag, this will be great then. So I'm using, I could use, oh, I don't know if I can use this. Is this wide enough? This is wide enough, so I'm going to use that. Is this wide enough? Yeah. All right, so we're going to, I'm actually going to stitch this together down here. I don't want that white stitching because it will show on the inside of the bag. I mean, if you ever looked, you know, so. Yeah, I'm really curious, Sophia. So I'm pretty sure you and I are talking about the same thing, and I know why you think that. Because I actually thought it too, and then I was like, oh wait, no, that won't work. I can go get the bag. Let's see. It's this one right here. So you're talking about this, right? This one? So I can't put the lining in between here, right? Because then I wouldn't have a pocket. The zipper opening goes into the pocket, not the bag, right? So now, because I put the lining is only there to finish that edge. And then this is pocket right here. So if this piece were in between these two, this zipper would go into the bag like that, right? It would go into the bag, right? So, and the reason I can't just, like if I had this without the pocket lining there, right, this pocket bag, I can't just stitch the bag there because same thing, this would be just a zipper into the bag. Is that right? I want to make sure I understand. I love discussions like this. This canvas is starting to look really cool. I love it when it gets that texture. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna attach this zipper here, and same thing I've been talking about. You need your zipper tape to line up at the top, and you really need to have this clearance down here to get your presser foot by it, because when you go to do this binding stuff, it is a little tricky. I am not going to sugarcoat it. So, all right, so, and see, you can see my zipper back there, but I'm not gonna let that stand. All right, so we're gonna edge stitch the binding onto the zipper. And I'm using like a 1-inch wide zipper this time. And I think my presser foot is gonna sit on the teeth because it's so narrow. I'm just hoping it doesn't push it away. But if you have a zipper foot, it'll probably be a little bit easier. So. Yeah, because Sophia, I almost just stitched the pocket, and I was like, oh yeah, that won't work. I've done that before. All right, so now we have our zipper on there, and now I'm gonna trim this. So the first one I made, I actually bound this little edge here, and I found it to be kind of redundant. Oh man, that's the bane of my existence right there. The threads on zipper tape. Oh boy. Oh, okay. Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. I mean, oh, I think I know what you mean. You mean like a drop-down pocket. I think you mean a drop-down pocket, and I could do that. But it's a little more than I think most folks will want to sew on this bag. And it adds a lot of fabric on the front and makes it a little heavier. And then the bag will start caving in a little bit because it would add another layer. Also, when the pocket isn't secured to the bag, like you see I stitch pockets to bags often, it makes it so that that's not what happens. Like, because if the pocket bag is hanging free of the bag, and I say pocket bag because that's the technical term of a pocket, right? Like your hand pockets on your dress or something. If the pocket bag is hanging free of the bag, it can kind of pull the bag places, whereas when it's secure, it offers stability. Yeah, I think that's what you mean. So that's true. You could do a drop down pocket, so then it's not even stitched. And then you would have to do, yeah, you could. You could, but you couldn't use the lining then. You wouldn't use the lining to finish the opening. I made it simpler by using the lining to finish the opening. So you could do it so that you have, I think I mentioned this when we were over at the table, where you use a pocket piece to face the edge, and then you could use the lining behind it and stitch it down. So that's another way to do it, like I did this one here, like this one. Except I didn't even use a line, but I could use a pocket bag, sew the opening, turn it, line, and then I can stitch through the lining. So many options. Yeah, you could still stitch it to the bag exterior. Yeah, I think you're talking like this. Yeah, because this one's like kind of like that, but if you would just need an extra piece of fabric. Yeah, you could totally do that, because this one's clean. This one's nice. This one's, I like the way the inside of that looks. That's my favorite. Okay, where's the pocket? Where's the pocket? Where's the pocket? Here it is. All right, so same thing. You're gonna stitch your pocket face down. I think there's still room enough for this label. Don't you love how I just flipped it over thinking I had the wrong side? It's the same on both sides. Oh, yeah, that's right. All right. So this is always funny, you know, you want to try and keep this centered on your zipper, and then you see this like bubbling, and that's because of this curve here, right? So just try and flatten it out best you can without skewing the whole pocket. Don't fall off, because needle holes in vinyl are unforgiving. I'm going to keep going across the top, because that was really handy. That would have been handy when I sewed it, the last thing. The zipper head's going to pull it away though, so we're going to pull that away. There we go. So when you open your zipper, sometimes it makes your zipper tape kind of pull away, so just push it back, tell it where you want to go. My label there. I really have very little seam allowance there. Now I want to sew that style, just because it is a really nice way to do it. I just feel like, how much do you want to put into your bag, you know? All right, so there we have our bound opening. So I feel like this is probably the most, the quick and dirty way to do it, even though it is a little tricky with that binding. But it looks nice. I think it looks really nice. All right. Okay, so let's do our top. And I need a zipper head. Here's my ribbon handle. So I did the lining. Looking for my notched edge there. The lining in hearts. All right, so I'm going to cut my zipper. So we did not sew the zipper this way at Chicken Boots, full disclosure. In fact, the reason this top piece got kind of like a little bit harder to tell what was going on is because this used to be all one piece. There was one top, one outer, one inner, and I sewed the zipper on the half So, meaning I pulled the zipper apart and I only sewed half of it on there, and then I folded it back on itself. It is the nicest way to do it. I love doing it that way, but I thought that was asking people a lot. Like, you can only sew this with zipper by the yard. Not to mention it's a little confusing, like in practice. Look at that. I hate that when that happens. Zipper tape is notoriously finicky. My lining is fine. Zipper tape has no ease in it. It'll unravel like a Dickens, and it has a lot of bias to it. But when you go to sew it to something, it's so fixed. It's so annoying that way. I really wish it had more give, you know? All right, so understitch your lining. You can't top stitch all the way through. You can, but you're gonna discover that you have an issue later on if you do. Oh no. No! I have to take this all out. How did I not notice I had the zipper in backwards? Gosh darn it. No, I want to be done. Oh man. I just made it so that the hearts were the right side. Shoot. How did I do that? I checked. Sometimes the zipper just feels like it's one way. It's not. So close. I mean, it's better than serging a hole in my dress at the crotch. Am I right? You know. So what are you guys sewing? Now it's time for you to entertain me. What are you guys making this weekend? I still need to make my like pug barriers to the underneath of my couch so he stops shoving his toys under there. And I want to fill it with pebbles. Not like beans, you know? Hungry. I'm hungry too. Right. Drama alert. Yeah, I put the zipper. I made it so that this would be the outer bag. Which would be cute, but it's not what I intended. You know? I wanted the stripes. I want the stripes. And I can't just cut it out again. I really fought to get enough of that one. I cheat a little bit. Ooh, a new look jumpsuit. Nice. I kind of been thinking about getting a jumpsuit. I can't remember if I got that flight suit from Closet Case. I thought about it. Oh, Ramona, really? Oh, nice, Leslie. That sounds really cute. Awesome, Tanya. That's even better, right? Having someone to cut with. I mean, I was watching a Fortnite stream, if you can believe it, and I was like, why am I watching this? While I was getting ready for the stream, I was like, why am I watching this? I just don't want to pay attention to it. Oh, cute, Jan. I keep trying to get my daughter to stop by and pick out fabric to make some of those city gym shorts that we made last year. And she wants them. She's just like, you know, we live outside of town now. So when she comes in, she has her own things she needs to do. And that's just not at the top. But she needs some shorts, she said. And she likes those. So. Right, Penny? My mom told me once, because Cricket wouldn't even wear clothes, like nothing. Nothing. No diaper, no nothing. She would take, but we would get out of the car, get home, get out of the car, and she would shed her clothes, and they would be all gone by the time she got to the front door. I remember my mom telling me once, you know, can you at least get her to wear clothes a little bit more, because it's hard to tell what age she is in each picture, because you know how sometimes you can tell, like, oh, I know my kid had that hat only when they were above this age, or that shirt or whatever. It was kind of funny. Plus, she just felt like, you know, she didn't want always naked kid pics. Maybe she would wear jammy pants 24/7. I'm really glad I made that last set I made with you guys. I cut them off. I made them into shorts. I tend to put those on at home now, you know, and I want to make more like that. Because they're like knee length. They're not ones I would ever wear out in public, but they're nice because when I'm sitting in a chair and I like put my legs up, then there's not skin touching skin because it's hot, you know. Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Louise. I was going to tell you guys that. And I ended up buying a bunch of bra making stuff. No, I'm sorry. I bought a bunch of panty or underwear making stuff. I researched like a bunch of things in the limited time I had. I think I'll probably focus on underwear mostly. And then we'll talk about doing a bra. It's a rabbit hole, you guys. It's a rabbit hole. Okay, we're almost there. This was the hard one. Maybe I should have done this from the other side. Yeah, right, Jan? It's nice. It's just like, yeah, it's great. I could see making like lounging culottes, you know? Like the ones that Sydney and I are always talking about, those Tanya culottes, but maybe not so full. Just something kind of loose, you know? I think that'd be kind of comfy. All right. Yeah, so I was going to tell you guys what I got. So Christy sent me a little care package last year as a thank you, just for streaming and stuff and inspiring her and whatever it was. She's just so nice, you know? And it was this beautiful fabric with birds on it and a couple of underwear patterns. And one of them, I think the pattern's from the 70s. And then the other one's Bravo Bella. And then I got the Daisy Briefs by Primrose Dawn Design. I got some men's underwear shorts by the Pinup Girls, and I got this all at Bra Builders. That's what it's called, right? Yeah, there's lots of free underwear pattern. Yeah, in fact, thank you for reminding me of that too. If any of you sign up for Megan Nielsen Patterns newsletter, she has a free underwear pattern. What's it called? I think it begins with an A. Okay. Whew. If this were production, I would have set this aside completely and recut it, and I would be already almost done with it. But this one-of-a-kind stuff, this is why I didn't do custom very often. You make one little thing, and you're like, oh, okay. And I would just save all that pile. We had this little pile of stuff, like, sometimes you just don't want to decide, do we save it or not in that moment, and it just kind of absolves you of that. Unless you really need it, then you save it. But it would just be like that rainy day pile, or a desperate pile, or when the power was out pile. You know, Acacia. Yeah. Okay. That little thingamabob. Darn, I don't have that. I thought I had that little thingamabob. You know, the thing that looks like an ice cream cone with the eraser to take out the threads. Must be over there. You can see why I did the first seam the way I did it, because the second seam leaves all these threads. All right, back on track. You have made those, and what'd you think, Louise? Okay, zipper coil face down on your outer fabric. Then your lining. Okay, okay. And then double check it before you understitch. You know what? That was the sewing fairy telling me, yo, lady, you put the zipper in wrong. When I was struggling with, wait, that is the bottom. Oh, no, it's not. Oh my God. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I was looking for the notches, but I realized I can tell by the seam that I stitched already. Yeah, there's the notches. Oh my gosh. Let me show you how to sew the pattern I designed. All right. Notches do not get the zipper. The notched edge is not the zipper edge. That's what I was just about to do. I can turn that around. Like I could have faked that, but this, like, I can't fake the outer lining, you know? All right, so your right side of your zipper face down on the outer fabric. Line up the longer edge, which is the unnotched edge. And I kind of like to make these fabrics the same and then see where the zipper lands, because it sometimes shifts as I sew. Like it's all lined up right now, and watch, it won't be in a second. The zipper tape does something we're not able to pull up in a curve to kind of manage it. See, the top's already getting a little longer. There we go. Okay, now you understitch. Put your, oh man, why do I have so many threads? Push your seam allowance towards your lining, your inner top, and edge stitch. I can't believe I didn't notice it then. And now you're going to do the same with the other side. I'm going to put my zipper pull in now. You don't, oh, yeah. So it's a little saggy bottom. You disagreed on the size of your hips. I love arguing with people about my size. Said nobody ever. They were fun to make. Cool. Okay, this is my notched edge, and I could have told also because I matched these circles up to each other so that it would continue, and I like to make sure this is lined up across from it like that right there, top to top. You don't need the notches on the lining, but it is helpful to determine what edge you're sewing it to. I can kind of see it. But I know for a lot of folks, they haven't sewn 100 of these. I haven't sewn nearly as many as Rayanne either. This was one of her products to sew. We each had our own. That's why she became an expert in sewing vinyl. All right, let's see. Let's do this understitching. These hearts look like butts. They look like bottoms. All right, so now you have your inner and outer tops. Let's see how I did on the stripes. They're okay. So the reason why you can't top stitch this down like this is when you go to this step here, you open this out. And if you had top stitched all the way through, you open it out, you're going to get a little lip right there. So that's why. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing, Ray, was just copying at least a bra, you know? But, you know, a lot of the undies I like best have been knitted to that size. So you can see I go a little in here, and it's because I could tell my fabric kind of extended past that. This isn't such a big deal. You need to maintain your seam allowance at the outer edge here, because that's when it goes to the bag. It's still going to be in a seam. Here, you're already done, you know, so you can fix any of your little mistakes there if you need to. And I knew mine would be off because I said I didn't have enough fabric to cut one of those layers, so I made the top a little bit different shape and size. Like, not much, like you can't tell, but I know I did. All right, so now let's get rid of some of these threads here. All right, so now we're going to turn this right side out. There's so many ways to do a zipper like this. This is not the nicest, it is the easiest. I've had customers say my wasn't on this one, but that their zipper didn't match there, and I was like, yeah, it can't. It literally can't, because you can't fold the coil in half. But it was really hard to explain that to someone who doesn't sew. They were always welcome to return it, but you do get that sometimes. I'm gonna I don't do this in the video, and I just never did it in production, but it does make it easier to sew. So I'm going to do it as an example that you guys are right. I know it is easier if you just edge stitch this right here. I took my seam allowances and pushed them away from each other so that the bulk is flat. So I kind of canted them away from each other. All right, and now we have our handle. What is that thread there? I don't want that thread there. Okay, we have our handle, and then you're going to put it between the notches, and then you're going to tilt it about 45 degrees. Let it hang off the edge there. Just like this. Like that. That is where your zipper closes. If you want it that way, I do. I like it that way because I like the zipper closing toward the handle, just in case you only get it part way zipped shut like that. If you're holding your bag, it's this, everything's secure down there more than if it was open all the way, you know? No, I haven't. Pipit loungewear. Who's that by, Louise? Tanya, no comment. All right, so now we have, where's our bottom? All right, so now we're going to sew the bag together. Now, we got pretty good at not turning some of these bags right side out. So I feel like the bottom you kind of got to, right? And now I'm going to turn this now. I always hold my seam so I don't pull it apart, because it's a lot easier to turn this right side out now when both aren't sewn, both these seams aren't sewn. But this one, we had this little technique where we didn't have to turn the bag inside out. We would just fold these together like this. like you're, as if you were going to sew it from inside the bag. And we would push it above the bag like this. So we did this for a few reasons. Well, a couple main ones. One being some vinyls would mar if we turned them right side out, right? Because they would get that little crease right there where you're trying to turn it. The other reason is turning anything inside out is hard on your hands after a while. If you have to do hundreds of them, hundreds of them every few weeks, plus all the other things, it's really hard on your hands. So there's a lot of things, production techniques we would change because of that. And it would change the design of the bag, but that was fine with me because we weren't making enough to get physically hurt by it. And hiring Rayanne and having any help helped me save my hands so much, but I didn't want to hurt theirs. And I would just ask her, you know, if she said, oh, my hands are getting tired, I'm like, just stop, you know. We can do those next week, you know. Doing a little bit over the course of a long time is way better than doing all of it at once as far as physically. Oh, so I just sewed my bottom there. I'm not really instructing you guys how to sew it because if you own the pattern in the video, you know. So just tell me if you have questions or something, if you want a tip or a trick on something. I always start from the bottom of the bag because that's the side that no one's ever going to see. And, you know, I don't bag smash as much on the zip double as I do on the project bag. I don't like these back tacks creeping. So I'm going to kind of pull my seam down into the bag a little bit. I don't know where my scissors are. Where are my scissors? They didn't fall. It's so weird. Oh, I think they're over there. Common stitch. Okay. Pipit loungewear. Okay. Maybe I'll Google it just a second. These scissors are so little to do this kind of cutting. I used to be good at this and where you wouldn't even have to do this. I would do it a little bit there because that little corner can get sharp and poke through your binding if you're not careful. All right, so I always do this little envelope technique, which I probably explain either not enough or too much in the instructions. Our bag bottom is almost done. We only have three more. Well, actually, we only have this bound edge and the perimeter, and we're done. Bag smash, technical term, absolutely. Oh, that does sound kind of cute. Yeah, because I get a little flack from my family if I'm donning my jammies at 5 o'clock. But honestly, I just like to take my street clothes off because, well, I don't want to hurt them with food. Or I'm tired of wearing them. Or especially if it's something where, like a dress, I'm ready for like something where my legs aren't touching each other because it's hot. And it's like I really kind of wish I would have made one set of my pajamas not look like jammy fabric, you know? Like the moths and the flowers are cute, but they look like jammies. Okay, so we have our bottom. So does anyone know these Gasleys? They have this whole long story. This year someone's getting married, apparently. I can tell by the fabric. I only know the story based on the what happened in the fabric. Ah, thanks. Let me see. Oh, is it an Australian company? No, I just went away from you guys. Oh my god. Oh no, I didn't. Did I? Yeah, I know. It changed twice exactly. Oh yeah, that is cute. Kind of a swing top. Those sleeves are too big for me. Let me see the flat sketch. That is really cute. She did, oh, there's a picture of the shorts. Oof, that back view though, I don't know about that. It's not quite right, but it could be okay. I mean, that is her back, right? Or is that her front? That is her back. You know if I'm asking. You do, Shannon, exactly. Shannon can tell us the story of the gas leaves. Okay, so here's where we're at. Hoping, against hope, I can get these line up. Or at least it'll kind of have the optical illusion of it. Oh, I have enough binding. Woohoo! All right, so now I'm going to turn your top inside out and poke the handle down the hole. It's just easier. Now, sometimes this little, so this bottom was already cut out. I cut this out today, actually, with you guys. Yeah, right, Louise? That's just like, it's cute, but like if you're just doing things in the house, like washing dishes. So if this little center notch, it's more important when your bag is like this, that you follow the center like that you're creating now. Because if you don't and you go by that notch, your bag will be like this. When it's done, it'll pull. And when it's completely open like this, it's fine. But when it's flat, it'll be like that and it'll bug you. Yeah, they're inspired by Edward Gorey, exactly. Every time I see these, they remind me of the Masterpiece Mystery intro by Edward Gorey. Yeah, it's got this really, it's just funny. So I'm really throwing Shannon in the bus today, like showing her she likes the butt girl. And the other one she used to request was literally Hammer Girl. And it was a little girl holding a hammer with this expression on her face that would make you run. So this tells you a lot about Shannon. Okay, so now it's my new center. So I'm gonna line my seam up to that. And you can use clips. I think I did this in the video. I was like, Sarah, you gotta stop doing this on the fly. And it helps me too, because I'm not very good at this bag. I had to call or text Rayanne once because I could not remember how something sewed together. And it might have been this bag. She was working at home or something. I don't remember. Yeah, Louie, yeah. And Ghastly Man and Ghastly, yeah. Yeah, but that makes them sound pleasant. Yeah, I love that intro, that Masterpiece Mystery intro. And the little skeleton that goes at the end. Yeah. And then, is that, who does it now? He looks like Pee Wee Herman. Is that Alistair Cook? Yeah, on your mask. You're like, I'm going to hammer out those knots in your back. Shannon's a massage therapist. Okay, I'm just checking to see which direction my seam is pressed on the back there. So I only clipped the ends. Now I'm doing a little bag smashing. I like to make sure these threads, as much as possible, are towards the seam allowance, especially this part. They're kind of really hard to get rid of after this step, and you can see them hanging down into your clear bag. Oh, okay, Louise. That's what I thought. Yeah, see, I remember that. Now they have the guy with the, was it a Scottish accent? Okay, so now we're getting close to our new zippered opening, and you're going to have to manage your little zipper head there. And you need to pay attention to getting everything into the seam. Get everything into the seam. Like, don't let anything slip out. It's not so hard on this one because it's only a single layer. But on your others, it might be something you need to make sure, and it's a good idea to stitch the top edge all the way around so that you can make sure all of your layers are going to get caught into this last seam. I need to move this zipper head of the pocket back now. Yeah, I was actually just saying, I was just gonna say something about the Addams Family. The Addams Family is the TV version of the Gasleys. Hey Terry, how's it going? Nice to see you. Happy Saturday. I had to think about that. All right, last seam, guys. Get rid of these threads. Let's look it over. Now's the time. Get these threads hanging down past the seam, and it's kind of a bummer. And then I also like to look and see, do I need to trim down this seam a little bit because it's a little wider than my seam allowance. Usually I wouldn't have to at all, but like I say, this is not the bag I sewed the best. Project bag, that was my bag. Project bag, the pattern holder, needle cases, and the pocket bucket. Those are the ones I sewed. But Rayanne could sew 100 notions cases in a day, or like 2 days or something. It was pretty cool to watch. I think it was 2. It might have been, I can't remember now. I used to know all that stuff off the top of my head. That's the kind of thing I'd like to talk to people about, is like the money part of that, you know? Like I could never sew. So like when I have friends or people ask me questions about pricing, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you guys. I always said, well, how much, if you could sew them as many as you could in one day, how many is that? Like, this is me getting to get them to a roundabout way to do their pricing, because a lot of people don't do their pricing. And they think they do their pricing, and so this is how I do it. I say, okay, how many of those can you make in a day? And I'm talking everything. Like, pretend like you did all of the steps. You cut the fabric, you laid out the fabric, you cut all the findings, you assembled everything you needed for that sewing day, and then you sewed them together. How many can you do? All right, now, how much are you selling them for? Is that what you want to make per day? Oh, it is? Okay. Can you sell that many per day? And that is a basic way to go, okay, yeah, I can't sell that many per day. And or I don't want to, I want to make more than that per day. That is the best way to determine some of that stuff. So, okay, I can't sell that many per day. So you need to raise your price. Maybe you can lower it someday. Or maybe you won't have to raise it with the cost of inflation on materials because you're getting faster, right? So, yeah. And my thing was, I could not ever get us to sew more than $600 worth of product in a day. Now, I didn't explain one aspect of this. So, say you could sew whatever that bag was, right, that we were talking about a minute ago, however many it was. Or maybe you're like, $600 a day, that sounds great. But you haven't taken out all of your expenses yet. So how much, if you're paying someone, plus your workers' comp, plus your overhead, plus all the materials, the machine maintenance, let's not even talk about the purchase of all the stuff, the purchase of the machines. So that's when you start kind of having some really heart-to-heart talks with yourself about if you want to keep doing it. That's the truth of it. Oh, this is cute. Ooh. Yeah, right, Shannon? I wonder if he likes those. This turned out cute. You can't have it. Let's double check it. Looks pretty good. I saw this one thread in here. All right. So on the fabric, the versions you make of this where the bottom is a little lighter weight, this will tend to fall down. And I never thought about that, but I don't like it. So I always suggest using a fabric that's a little heavier. And, you know, if it's heavier, it can stand on its own pretty good. I didn't try exactly. Yeah, this is cute. It was not accidental, Louise. How dare you? I worked hard to get that. It's yours. It's yours. She sent me all kinds. Let me show you all the fabric she sent. But Shannon needs to learn that she needs to buy in half yard increments, not fat quarters. Because you did some half yards. So there's a different colorway to this one. It's pretty. It's kind of a dusky. There's this. Oh, so here's the ghastly people. Give us a tour, Shannon. Here they are. This isn't all of them. There's no guys here. There's no girls. These are the sisters, aren't they? Right? Oh. So, like, this is how I treat her fabric. I like fussy cut the heck out of it, and so I save every iota. Here are a couple of the guys. I really love this. I use this on her project bag, this motif here. See, so there's some of the wedding. One who marries for love. I don't know what that says. There's a big shoe I keep trying to cut around because I'm not a big fan. Yeah, how many ghastly bags do you have? It's Matilda and her sister. Oh, it's just two of them. Okay. Is that who, this hairdo, just, this is cute. This is so cute. Yeah, there's some really cute elements to this. I really love the cat that he draws in this series. I'm going to have to refold this whole damn pile. This cat, I love this cat. That's one fabric. She has generously said, you know, you can keep some of the fabrics before. And I kept the cats once. Anyway, you get the idea. Oh, I haven't seen Rayanne in a while, but occasionally we text or message in Instagram. She, she lost her home in Paradise. And they bought a house, but it needed to be redone. Like redone. And her dad was a builder and really taught her so many valuable skills, like laying tile and flooring and painting and everything you can imagine. And she's got some skills. Like when I hired her, one of the things I wanted someone to help me do was build my booth, and she built my booth. Like I got to work one day, like the first week she was there, she was on the ground in a dress, barefoot, screwing the booth together. Like she was on it. It was really great. And so they bought a house a little over a year ago, and they were supposed to move in May, but I'm not sure they have yet. And they've been redoing it. So even though she lost her home like a year and a half ago, she still wasn't home in a house yet. They finally had found a rental. They were staying with friends and they found a rental. And so she might have been moving when I was moving. I keep wanting to ask her, but I don't want it to be like women who are pregnant, 9 months pregnant, and people ask them every day, you have the baby yet? You have the baby yet? So I don't want to be that person with her. So, because she's got closer friends that, she can talk to about that and stuff. And, anyway, but she's posted some pictures, they're rare, on Instagram of some of the things they're doing, and it's really amazing. Like they're really taking their time and doing so much of the work themselves that they can put a little extra money into some really fun, unique details. And I think like they're just gonna love their home so much, which makes me really happy because it's what they've always wanted. So, under terrible circumstances, but it's going to be really cool. And I told her she could have my old machine. It's just sitting here waiting. So I can't wait to be able to give it to her. Not that it's very valuable or anything, but she does miss having a sewing machine. That hairdo is Sebastian, and the cat's name is Sebastian. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I've made Shannon a lot of things. No one has ever known of the existence of Shannon but Rayanne. Because if anyone knew I was doing custom, it would have kind of been a nightmare. I tried to do custom a few times, and people would say, "You're charging a $5 fee?" Bye! You saw how much extra work it is to do one person's bag. I had to... So, yeah, she's very consistent. She's love it. Yeah. Yeah, I think the first thing I ever made for you was a Swift. You have the only Swift case I've ever made. Right? That's you, right? I tried to get her to go to Slip Stitch Studios. She wouldn't. I was like, try Slip Stitch. She does all kinds of fun stuff, and she does Gasly's, and she's like, no. All right, well, that's it for me today. That was really fun. This is all I have left. I'm going to make Shannon a mask. Yeah, that's true. Brooke knew. She kept the secret. Brooke knows how hard that is. It's a $50, exactly. Yeah, one time I spent all this time, I made a neutral version of every one of my products. It was just like this neutral grayish black fabric on the outside and a neutral cream on the inside, so solids. And I made that in every one of my products, photographed them all. And I did that so that you wouldn't see like a fabric like this and go, yeah, I'll take that, and be like, no, I'm trying to get you, because people wanted their own bag with their own fabric, and I understand that, Yeah, she has a Gasly mask, and I'm gonna make her one too. Yeah, so what fabric do you want? While I have you here, Shannon, what did you want for your mask? Because I don't have any more butts. But and so that way also I could say, okay, the fabrics you're thinking of in the picture, the black is the outer, the cream is the lining, the speckle is the binding, and you need to send us, and we would have this, like, I had a drawing of every one of the cutting layouts, how much fabric they had to have. So they were like, I have to pay for the fabric and I have to pay you $5 extra and shipping. I'm like, yeah, because we can get a better yield cutting a bunch of things together tighter on a piece of fabric. But if you're only going to send me enough for one and you have to buy it in increments that you can speak to a fabric store about, you're going to be buying extra fabric. And so I would try and encourage people like, hey, if you want, I would sometimes contact them. I have room to get this and this out of it. Do you want those? I'm not trying to upsell you. I'm just trying to tell you I could use up your fabric, because they weren't sewists and they didn't want the extra fabric. So, okay, Louise, I will. Yeah, so what do you think, Shannon? What do you want? I know you want one of these people. This is so Mary Englebright. Is this Mary Englebright for any of you? Binding or other options. She labels every piece of fabric. It's great. The fly. You want the fly, right? If you let me pick, I think you might want to tell me. What about, I don't know if I can get that to fit. That's really cool though. I need a space. That fly is so mischievous looking. What do you guys think? I could make that a mask. Yeah, Englebright. Yeah, and and Shannon really spoiled us. Like, she was so nice. We thought other people would probably be like, "Oh yeah, take your time," and "Oh yeah, $5? Are you kidding?" That's no problem. Is there a mouth? Yeah, it's Englebrightish, huh? No. This cat, man. I mean, that's the closest. But remember, it's going to be a little scrunched. What about the green potion? The option bottle. The big option bottle. Is there enough of the option bottle? The big circle design? Is that what that is? The option bottle? Because that I can make that a mask right there. Is there another bottle? Oh, I mean, is this the bottle? The butler? You could always let me know, too. I love the rain cloud. Like, for me, I would probably go, if I could find it, rain cloud. Kind of like rain clouds, though. Oh, the potion bottle. The potion bottle. Yeah. Oh, potion, not option. Yeah, I got it. This one. I can make that work. Love potion number 9. I don't think I have another one, so let me see. These are so cut so weird. I'm trying to keep them nice. Oh, there's the butt girl. But I can't fit her. Like, she'd be off center, You wouldn't even see her. The circle. Okay. Okay, cool. I get an idea of what you like. There's a rain cloud. Let's see. My husband made this dinner called, it was a Buddha bowl. I don't know why it was called that. But it was so good last night, and I took the leftovers without even asking. I'm so excited. It had like garbanzo beans and cauliflower and sweet potato. kale, and some sort of sauce. And I feel like it had coconut milk in it. These are all the supporting prints right there. So yeah, that's my only bottle. Okay, cool. Maybe I can do this on the back, and then you could kind of make it reversible. See, this is what she does. She sends me a pile, and then, you know, like, as I release patterns, so 10 years from now when I've released all the patterns, she'll have all these. Oh, that's so funny, Ray. Yeah, I was telling someone, I was like, you know, it wouldn't be hard to get fabric made that looked like the bottom portion of your face and you could make a mask. And someone said, oh, they're already doing that. I was like, oh, funny. And I've been trying to think of a way. I've actually been trying to think of how to get a hold of face shield plastic. So if anyone sees any of that, I could probably call my vinyl vendor, but I don't want to place a 200-yard order. So I've been trying to figure out face shield plastic because I'd like to make comfortable face shields. You know? Yeah, that would be kind of creepy. Kind of like when you see those dogs with those toys at the mouth. That's just too much. All right. I'm going to go eat. All right, and Shannon, this will be off to you soon. You're the only one who gets a zippered zip double bag. I don't even have one. Well, I do. All right, you guys. I don't even know what I'm sewing next week. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make a schedule though, and so we're gonna have a schedule for July, and it'll have menswear and probably men's underwear, and 100 acts of sewing. That's, I think, what I'm gonna do for July. So creepy and what? Totally. And let's see. This pattern is for sale in my shop. It's $14. If you got a newsletter, there's a code in there for something, a percentage off through Tuesday. It ends soon. And yeah. Oh, Karen. You guys are so clever. Yeah. I have a box of those. I was just thinking the other day, what am I going to do with these? I wonder how safe that is against your face. You know? Because it's not food grade, but whatever. All right. I will see you guys soon. So I'll see you guys probably Wednesday, and we'll see. Maybe it'll be 100 acts of sewing because they're having a sew along with Beyond Measure. And I love Sonia Phillip of 100 Acts of Sewing. And those are really great for beginners. So I know it's July. So I actually might, you know, maybe I'll put that off and do something else next week. Because I was actually going to ask my friend if she would like me to make her one of the 100 Acts of Sewing things and see if she'd send me fabric. so I'm going to see. Right? I want face shields next too. Yeah. I'm working on it. So, all right. Have a great weekend, you guys. Stay nice and cool. Eat lots of watermelon and ice cream, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye.